Welcome to the Visual Cast. Coming at you from California, I'm your host, Alon Hammer, aka Rem. The Visual Cast is a hybrid podcast where we sit down with some of the best, most interesting, and most exciting visual artists from all over the world. We chat about life, art, visuals, software, hardware, systems, crystals, alien downloads, spirituality, and catalysts. It's essentially a massive nerd out. But the guests also do a set where we dive into their computer and get an up-and-close look at how they make art, how they perform art, or really anything they want to share with us. I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. To support us, please like and subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and leave us a review on Spotify. Now, without any further ado, here's the Visual Cast.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride.
Since I've recorded, so I'm very excited by this. We're doing a little bit of a different format today, something interesting, and that makes sense because we have a very interesting guest, a very unique guest, someone who I actually have never met, but I have been hearing about and following and kind of looking up to in some ways for close to a decade, at least since 2017, when I first heard about him, yeah, I mean, he's kind of an enigma, kind of a very interesting visual artist, does kind of everything, and just a very unique kind of approach to things. And I think that's a good introduction for our guest this week, Adistu. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Alan. Thanks for having me. I'm a very big fan. I'm so glad to be at the Joe Rogan of visuals here.
Yeah, let's go.
And I hope we'll have the same amount of subscribers in the future. I mean, I look up to this podcast. I wanted myself, actually, I had some ideas of making a podcast just like this one. And I was just not the social butterfly that you are. But it was a thought. It was. I knew that somebody had to do it, and I'm glad that you did it. But I'm not sure if this is the right time for it. Maybe it is, but maybe in 10 years I'll see you with 2 million subscribers or something like this, when the wheels will turn and music will not be the highlight of shows, and people will get bored and switch to highlight the visuals. Maybe. I don't know. We can talk about this
we
issue.
will for sure. Yeah,
But
well,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for that. It feels great to hear that from you. 2 million subscribers, I don't know, but I'll be happy with 10,000, maybe 100,000. I think that's too much, actually. Like, I want to keep it realistic, you know? But yeah, I normally start off with a like a scripted question, but I'm trying things a little bit differently now. And I want to show some of your work and kind of talk a little bit about kind of like, you know, what you do by just kind of going through your Instagram feed quickly and just, you know, kind of looking at some things and having you kind of explain them and me kind of giving my little bit of an introduction of you and what I know about you. So, you know, I think you've been a touch designer user for probably a decade, maybe even longer. I know you've been kind of projection mapping for over a decade and doing art for a long time. You've played in countless festivals all over the world. I know Lost Theory was kind of a big one for you. All the festivals in Romania. I have a very special and close relationship with Romania because of Orelai, Alina, and Danny, who taught me touch designer essentially. And it was one of the first places I went to tour internationally. I have a very strong connection with Romania. There's a lot of super interesting topics that I want to talk to you about when it comes to Romania. Um, and yeah, I mean, you're kind of a very interesting artist. You're multidisciplinary. You know, you do like digital. I think you also do like, I don't know if you do paintings, but I know that you do like canvases and things like this.
No, but recently. Ah, okay. Now I see myself. So cows. Oh, cow anuses. So I don't, but I recently made a short drawing that I at the end of Waha Festival this year. There was like a small painting workshop. They gave me a small canvas, and I made like a small marker painting in
Oh, that's cool.
10 minutes, and it
Nice.
was so sucky. It
Oh, look at
sucked
this.
so much ass. And I said when I came home that I need to make a nice thing out of it. So I remade it with a couple of AI tools, and
Hmm.
then runway that stuff, edited a lot, and made a music video out of this 10-minute
Oh,
drawing.
cool. That's awesome. I also know you've been using Mandobulb for a really long time, right? That's like a very OG fractal software. Is that kind of what you started playing with?
Okay, so the genesis of software. I started doing, well, maybe I should go from the very beginning. And
Please.
yeah, I know you're a film guy because
Mm.
I did my research and watched
Oh no,
interview of you. The other VJing podcast that's out there. I
Sean,
forgot the name right now.
Sean
I'm sorry.
Bose.
Shout out to Sean, very
Yeah,
cool stuff he
super nice
does.
dude.
But at the same time, I saw a little bit of his playlist of artists, and it's just I don't know the people there so much. They
Mm.
look like
Mm.
they're established and very
Mm.
professional. But I don't know if it's my gang. Here at your place, I saw so many cool people. Like I started out with Matthew Reagan myself.
Oh
This is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
The OG.
uh, bedrock of my foundation for learning touch designer. And that simulate I used for the first time his stream diffusion live recently for
Nice,
Halloween. uh, uh, Minu V, I follow him. Ray TK, we follow each other. Vakao, all the cool people. I mean, I know most of the people. There are a few of
nice,
them personally.
nice. Yeah,
Okay,
your
so
most recent tour was with Electric Forest. No, what is it
elect-
called?
Electric
Elect
Animals is a
Animals.
festival in Costa Rica, which is
Mm-hmm.
where I'm resident at. This is where
Mm.
I play the most often
Mm.
because they give me so much freedom in creating my own stage design. As um, for instance,
Yeah.
can you go back to the
Yeah.
profile and go
This one.
to a little more down? The one with the lasers, the one with blue and green.
This one.
Now a little more up.
Up. This one.
This one.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So
You're
for
laser
instance, they
mapping?
let me.
Fuck, dude.
Uh, this is not my laser performance. It's my friend that I brought especially to back with me. He
Mm-hmm.
was like, "You have cool lasers, but why don't you put them on the stage instead of
Yeah.
aerial stuff?"
Yeah.
And I was, "Yeah, come do that because there's nobody here doing it, and I have my own stuff to do it. I know it's easy to just send some stuff from TD, but he had all the
Oh, this is sick.
licensing for and I just needed another guy for sure because he had
This is sick.
13 lasers in total for aerial stuff also. And is just I don't want to deal with
More stuff.
I could learn. It's not so difficult to send stuff
This
from
is
touch designer,
sick.
but at the same time you really need somebody else to collab with to
Totally.
not have too
It's a
many
whole
things
other
on your
thing.
mind.
Of course. I love this.
So yeah, and they give me freedom to do what I like in the terms of the tubes, how I like to call them, the left and right side of the stage, which
Mm-hmm.
instead of being a giant screen, it's this maze like pattern
Mm.
that I haven't really seen so much.
Yeah, super cool.
Uh, yeah.
So
So
you're
back to the genesis. Yeah.
yes,
So
the Genesis,
already,
the Genesis. Please, let's see the Genesis.
okay. So I know that you're a film guy. So I started off. I'm streaming. Okay. Cool. So I'm on my laptop and I don't have the best FPS right now, but here's a little bit of stream diffusion. Shout out to Dot Simulate for making the patch. And I think there's a bunch of stuff that I can do to upgrade the performance, but I had some technical issues, and this is the best that I can do right now. Here I am, a light wizard, because at Waha we were called light wizards and the flyers. I don't know. I think there's a few other festivals, or maybe that coined this term, or I'm not sure. But I like it, and we need to have our aura of mystery and
Hmm.
to extend. I mean, I personally want to extend my artistic side in PR, in interviews, in whatever, wherever I want.
Hmm.
And for that, let me show you a reveal before the Genesis.
Okay.
Maybe not this. Let's switch out from infrared to color. And this is me. Hello. And this is a reaction diffusion pattern made in Touch Designer.
Nice. This is the real light wizard right there. That's the real light wizard. Well, that's a sick jacket, dude. That's sick. Is that like a? Is that a cloak?
Yeah, it's actually made for an installation in collaboration with Elena, costume designer, who made the actual thing. But I created a pattern and
Love
told
it.
her what I kind of want. And there were on the. Can you give me some PC, please?
Of course, of course.
This is our safe word for screen
Yeah.
sharing. So there was installation that I have two mannequins. One, am I screen sharing?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
We see all your files.
Yeah, that's perfect. This is what I would like to do actually. I'm not
Let's do it.
much of a researcher, or how you had this researchers that I really look up to, that can show you really interesting new stuff to in Touch Designer. But I think I will just show you files because I have a bunch of
Please.
files, and that's my skill to have diversity. So wait, reaction. Okay, so it was
Oh,
this,
nice. Super cool.
and this is the Looking Glass Factory holographic
Oh,
screen.
nice, nice.
But I mean, it's just a lenticular screen in the
Yeah,
end,
but
but
it
it's
works really
nice to
well.
have. Yeah, it was like 50 cameras in setup. You can see the 3D object in 50 sides to have a 3D feel of it. And there was another
You made a
dude
patch.
here.
You made a patch for it in Touch for the hollow
Well,
for the
there already is an official
There
one.
already is. Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's for
Nice.
Unreal, for everything, for
For
Blender.
Looking Glass,
There,
I know this for Unreal. I didn't know they had one for Touch. That's cool.
yeah, they do.
Nice.
And I mean, you have to mingle with it to make it how you like it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and this is just a small Pico projector, but yeah, the other one looks a little bit fancier. But the two together uh, are fun. Yeah,
Is the mannequin holding a projector that's projecting onto the face? That's super cool.
yeah.
I love that.
I have it right here. Yeah,
Oh. Ah,
that's the hand,
she's always
and the
keeping
hand.
watch of you, I see.
Yeah, there's another one close to the bathroom from where I stole this jacket.
Okay, so let's regroup. So you were telling me the genesis of Adistu.
Yeah.
Like you're saying that I'm a film guy and that you wanted to show me that in terms of that. So I'm gonna give you back the PC, please.
Okay. So no, not really. You can just show the camera. I
Okay.
just want to
Okay.
talk, or leave me the PC. You can see my camera, and maybe I can have a few things to show if I go to some topics. I will have some parentheses. Yeah.
So
So
give me the let's go even before the visuals. Okay, growing up in Romania,
yeah. Okay.
I love Romania. I really do. I recommend anybody that is traveling in Europe. Even if they're not in Eastern Europe, it's such a cool place to go. Um, the food, the nature, the people. Older people are a little bit weird, but anybody that's our age or our generation is super super cool. Um, what was it like growing up there? Like in terms of just you're a very eccentric and you know artistic, creative kind of person. What was it like growing up in Romania as the type of person like that? Like, were you being, did you have to like go out of your box, or were you kind of ushered in? Like, are your parents supportive? Like, what is this kind of vibe?
Well, they weren't so supportive,
Mm,
unfortunately. I mean, being an artist, especially a digital artist, was not a thing.
mm,
It was just not a thing to survive it. It was like a
mm.
joke, like, hey, do you
Right.
want to become an artist or have a real
Have
uh,
money.
real
Yeah.
future? Yeah,
Yeah.
not have money, but just survive. So it just wasn't a thing. Painters were like one big painter until 95,
Mm.
Sabine Balasha, or uh, but at the same time, my father did study some drawing lessons and some painting lessons, and he did teach me some stuff, and I was
Oh wow.
like on the cover of the when I was like 10 or 12 years old. I was on the cover of the school magazine for making a drawing of a tree and stuff like that.
That's
So
cool.
I had some artistic things from the beginning. I made some stencils and a bit of graffiti in high school, and always had a passion for creative stuff. For instance, doing the high school's forums. This might sound not so creative,
No,
but
no,
in the
but yeah.
forums we had battles uh, between teachers, and the
Mm.
teachers had this one teacher was Neo, the other teacher was Darth Vader and stuff like that, and we were using what we knew of the teachers and their myths to create this supernatural character that were
That's so
fighting.
cool.
And
That's
people were
awesome.
adding to the forum, and this is how people learned a bunch of Photoshop skills.
Mm.
And, and
That's
at the
awesome.
same time, learning Photoshop was in a Music Maven, a game that was around making a record label. And I had Toilet Anarchy record labels, which was one of the biggest, the second biggest in the game. And there in the forums, you were role play, and everybody was going to the parties of everybody else. The rappers were killing the metalheads. There were controversy and a lot of role play. And again,
What
there
game is
is where
this?
I
What game is this?
Music Maven.
I don't think I played that one. It
Well,
sounds
it's
crazy.
not play. I mean, it's playable only online. It's a very social game. It's not like
Gotcha.
you install it.
Gotcha.
It's on. It has a UI there, small, but everything happens more in the forums, and there
Interesting.
people drop their label, their new
Their
record.
new.
And stuff like that, and they have artwork for it, and
Mm,
uh, lunch parties and stuff like that, and they would invent all these controversies and
interesting.
stories and featurings and stuff like that.
That's so
So
cool.
that's how I learned Paint Shop Pro. That was the software back in the
Wow.
day, and
Wow.
3ds Max a little bit. Uh, yeah, that was my
So
high school years.
so was it kind of like as a kid you had this affinity for like computers, digital stuff, digital art, and it kind of at what point, what was your kind of like movement into, okay, I want to take this professionally. I want to do this more as a career choice. Did you go to university or anything like that?
University, I studied philosophy.
Oh wow.
And I
Okay.
think in this day and era, philosophy is pretty important. Now with the AI
Fucking.
advancements, and
Oh yeah.
you can prompt Houdini particles spinning around with some force from Ambergen and stuff like that. Maybe in a few years, maybe we have to look more towards the conceptual side of things, and
Reality. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
helpful
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, to blend techniques and blend reality with digital, and uh, to start thinking outside of the box. And for this,
Mm.
aesthetics is good to study.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel. So
I
yeah,
totally agree.
philosophy was a bit relevant. Not so much because I was reading the philosophy that I wanted more, but I
Mm-hmm.
still had good grades. But in the end, um, I could have just learned softwares, I guess, and
Mm.
read the books that I wanted. But in Romania, yeah, it's this thing that you need to go to college, and
Yeah, you do. Everybody kind of goes to college. Is kind of a thing.
yeah, it's kind of a not thing to not go. I mean,
Gotcha.
you have to, or your parents will get mad. uh,
There's also benefits of learning it in like a more structured environment. You know, like even, sitting around and reading books is easier when that's what you're doing as like your work. Like in school. I think there's something to that. Like my favorite
I guess.
my favorite class in art school was philosophy. I think that's probably the
Oh,
most thing I learned in art school was philosophy for sure. Um, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of like you could have maybe learned a skill or something that would have like helped you. But then at the same time, if you would have learned software in college or university, you might not have had the same relationship with it. You know what I mean? It might have been a little bit more,
techie, more
structured or
geeky. Yeah,
yeah, more geeky. So what
which is
was the
not bad,
shift?
which is
Which is
not
not
bad,
bad.
but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
no,
me.
no, it's not
It's
you.
just not me. I mean,
In
I
a
am
different
geeky to a
timeline.
certain
Oh, you're. Oh, you
extent,
are.
but
No, no, you're
a
a geek.
little bit,
No,
just
no, you're a
a
geek.
little
No,
bit. Well, compared to the other guests you have, maybe a
you're not.
tiny bit less. Like, I mean, look at me. Look at me.
Yeah, you're a geek, bro. You're a geek. Okay.
I'm a creature from another dimension. I'm not even human here. Come on.
um. So yeah.
Okay,
So
okay. So
what was the
coming
shift
back to
into?
film.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was coming after my first job and was finishing college. It was working at Vice, the first Vice team in Romania, making
Really?
interviews for artists and stuff like that. So
No
that was
way.
kind of related to art,
Was it
and
like Vice? Sorry, was it Vice? Like you were doing like art specifically, or was it electronic music? Like what was the focus?
I did many things. I had one concert for per week to interview bands that
Mm.
played like experimental music or more in the rock kind of way, and but
Mm-hmm.
also electronic music, like the grandfather of experimental electronic music,
Mm-hmm.
Rodion. I
Mm.
took a big interview of him. I was one
So
of the
you're really
first to
interviewing,
do
like
it
writing
after.
articles. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I was published and everything. But
Super cool.
this maybe not so important. Coming back to our stuff, actual art, I did a film, a couple of films, surreal films, and they were pretty bad. But I was very young. I was just coming out of college, and they were like Jodorowsky style thing. Actually, somebody
Oh,
commented that Jodorowsky from the hood. Or, they
that's a
mentioned
great coin. That's great.
hood in hood in
Jodorowsky.
Bucharest. So
Jodorowsky.
I'm I'm not. I'm very, very ashamed to look at them right now. But at the same time, I was very proud of them back then. Not
Mm.
of the quality. I knew that was my first movies. I didn't have any film
Budget.
study, and
Yeah.
of course no budget. But I had friends from film school. that helped, and it, it was pretty okay. I mean, like 15 people worked at it, and actually, even
It's awesome.
Danny and Alina from Oralai worked at it
Yeah.
without them
No way.
knowing each other. They were
Oh,
didn't know
before
each
they knew
other,
each other.
but yeah, yeah. Actually,
That's funny.
uh, I
You introduced them?
I introduced them in a
Oh,
workshop in France.
matchmaker.
I was
Ah, matchmaker.
Well,
Beautiful.
Danny helped me and Alina with a lot of stuff in
They're the
like
best.
before I knew effects. Danny was the effects guy that I was
Mm,
going to,
yeah.
and he I was bothering him to do a bunch of effects for the film, and that's how I learned that I need to not bother people to edit, not bother people to VFX so much, because I was growing up, so I needed to start learning this for myself because I was
Mm,
too annoying.
interesting. Interesting. So
And
it was like almost like a out of necessity, like out of I want to
yes,
make movies. My movies have effects. I need to learn how to make effects.
I like philosophy. I need to make movies that show the thoughts, the ideas, the other spectrum of reality that is not just reality.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you use for that? You need VFX or
Special
even
effects.
better
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
animation.
Animation. Right. 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 Right.
So yeah, I still didn't go to become an artist just yet. It's still another big step to take. My movies didn't have an audience. I couldn't
Okay.
show them anywhere. The experimental film festival refused me. Maybe I was too not skilled, but at the same time, I knew that my movie was very different than anything that was in Romania. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it had the quality of originality, even if it didn't have skill or this fine production.
Mm-hmm.
At least
Production value.
it have yeah production value. It had conceptual value for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to show it somewhere, and I was cocky and young, and I said, okay, this festival doesn't want me. There's no other film festival, only experimental film festival can go to. So let's make a film festival. And
That's
I
right.
made
You made a Tripoteca, right? Tripoteca.
exactly,
Tripoteca.
yeah,
I
exactly.
forgot about
This is
that.
the only psychedelic film festival in the world, which turned up to. So first we did uh, me and my team of friends, uh, Romanian psychedelic film edition, the first edition.
Mm-hmm.
Only Romanian films, only crazy people that had low production value that I uh, kind of knew or friends of friends, and a few of them came out to actually be high production value that was going to actual animation competitions and stuff like that. It was wonderful to find some quality ones as well,
Mm-hmm.
and um, but for Romanians that were one Romanian. Veronica that was actually living in Germany, and another director from Romania that wasn't doing trippy movies, but he wanted to do one, and he was a great director of non-trippy movies. So
Mm.
when he made another good quality trip movie. He didn't have anywhere to show, so everybody was happy that
Gotcha.
they can show their crazy stuff.
That's so
We
cool.
did the first edition in a very rundown cinema in Bucharest in a hood, and
Oh man,
we had
that must have been wild.
because I because I worked at Vice, I knew this
Mm.
Rodion. He died 2 years ago, unfortunately. One of the great legends of experimental electronic music from the 70s, and
Oh wow.
he came to the first Ripoteca, and he was like his second concert after 15 years or 20 years,
Wow. 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 Wow.
and yeah, it was great. We had super great reception and everything. So after that, I started to go international, and we did in the end 15 countries, and
15
30 cities.
countries?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So
So
wait, when
for
when was the
free,
last one that
yeah.
you guys did? When was the last one?
Well,
Was
I
it
think
pre-COVID?
it's. Can you? I
Sure.
have my
Yeah. Go for it.
PC.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the website that doesn't have all the GIFs animation stuff, but it
2019.
has a bunch of things. So the first one was in 2012, and we had some special events, collaborations with other festivals,
Nice.
and then the second one just much
Exploded.
more.
Look at that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and we went to directly to Boom for Liminal Village.
Nice.
Liminal
Nice.
Liminal Village, for instance, had like slots of 1-2 hours. This is where
Mm-hmm.
I met Andre Jones, for instance, and he was
Nice.
painting. This is where a lot of things happened. But for us, they gave me 8 hours. 8 hours
That's
curate
amazing.
movies, yeah, full hours. And
Amazing.
at the end of it, I got to VJ also a little bit
Oh,
there.
nice.
So
At the Liminal. That's
so
awesome.
yeah, I forgot. I needed the genesis of VJing and making myself an artist, but I went inside of this festival, which for a lot of part of my life was much more important than
Mm.
my artistic career. So at 2019 was the last edition, and I did just a few of them, and then. Um,
COVID.
I COVID, and I had a small break, and I just don't have the time anymore. And it's not a money maker at all.
Mm.
It didn't have any
Passion.
financial backing,
Yeah.
and I was just very young and living the nomadic lifestyle
Yeah.
for 3 years or
Mm-hmm.
3 years and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had only my backpack, my girlfriend, and a bunch of Tripoteca paintings because
Mm.
Tripoteca it consists of some elements. It has audio video performance in the cinema, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes exhibitions. We had even museums. It depends, but mainly cinemas.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an art exhibition in the hallway of the cinema, which
Oh, wow.
consists of canvas prints that are not in a fancy framing or anything, because I need to
Right.
travel with them from
Right.
country to country and not print them all the time, because some artists don't give me this permission, or some artists just
Right.
give
Right.
me
Right. Right. Right.
the direct
Images.
original. They don't want to
Yeah.
give me the original image. So yeah, I was traveling with a bunch of this stuff. I can
Yeah.
just make some
Let's see.
spoilers.
Oh,
I
wow.
will
Cool.
not say the artist names right now because I cannot remember all
That's
of
okay.
them. But I will go
Wow.
to
Look at
the
that.
lineup afterwards, and I will show all their names, and maybe you can spot some of the people that you for sure know.
I recognize
Um,
some of these already. Yeah, I recognize some of these already. Um,
Maybe not the
very
paintings,
cool.
but the films you will
I
for
mean, I
sure
know that
recognize
is
a bunch more.
that's Lumen
Yeah,
Koya,
yeah.
obviously.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course. It's
beautiful. That's Victor Fota. Big fan of
ah,
him.
you know him from
Yeah,
Romania, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
we
No,
had
I
some
don't. I met
actual
him.
painters, and we just printed their work. It sounds a little off-putting for some people to
Well, I
have
think if it's a
paintings
film
that are.
festival, you're
Yeah,
kind
it's
of just
not.
you're just
Yeah,
adding to the environment, right? You're just kind of like ushering people in some way.
nomadic cortex
Yeah,
from
that looks familiar.
UK. This is Danny's Bega's first ever
Really?
fractal. Yeah,
Wow.
or
Is
one
his
of the
first fractal?
first. One of the first batch for sure,
That's fucking awesome.
but at a super big resolution. We printed very
Yeah,
big.
super cool.
Um, yeah,
So,
so
so Adistu, was the film festival like you weren't collecting money? How did you curate all the films? Like, I've been
well,
to a few. Yeah.
no, I let you finish. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I've been to a lot of film festivals, and the way that I got my film into film festivals was like through websites. I don't remember what they were. It's like a really long time ago. A film runway or film something.
Yeah, a film freeway.
Film freeway. Yeah. So were you part of that, or did you curate it all yourself? Like, how did you submit? How did you get all the things?
Well, I just curated whatever I wanted and left some open
Submission.
application on the
Mm.
website.
Mm.
So I will show you a bunch of the films,
Oh shit. This is
the
a trailer?
trailer. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a trailer for instance.
Sick.
So we had music
Whoa.
videos and films and mostly animation because that is what is trippy, but also stop
Mm.
motion, real live action and whatever,
Mm.
everything that is trippy. Some
Whoa.
documentaries as well. Yeah, I didn't make the
Damn.
sound setup, but it's very cool music from my friend Modular, and Danny did a
Tripoteca.
bunch of the effects for it. For instance, this is what Danny did from Oral Eye, and this is me in the cinema, like 2013.
Oh,
Man,
nice. Oh, cool. Oh, wow. That's cool. Nice. Trippy. What was what was the reception like of this kind of stuff? Was it were you getting like a lot of reception? Was the reception positive? I mean, obviously if you're doing it from year to year and growing, it must have
yeah.
been.
So it depends of
How did you
the.
pay for it? How did you rent out, the theaters?
So what we used to do is we would collaborate with the venues,
Mhm.
like say, hey, I'm a young director,
Filmmaker,
I
yeah.
need to show this great new original way of doing film festivals, and I don't have it's an independent festival, and I ask of you to share the profits of the
Mm.
tickets with
Oh,
me.
these two just I think you minimize touch cuz it's frozen.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So share the profit. So sharing the profits with the venues. Is that what it was?
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
So it was simple thing that was covering the plane tickets, some reimbursement for the live performers,
Mhm.
uh, some PR flyers and everything. But in the end, there was not a lot left. I mean,
Of
I
course.
couldn't survive much, but I didn't have rent for 3.5 years, so
Right.
that helped a lot.
You must have
And
also made so many connections and emphasized your kind of like I mean you're curating a festival that's playing in all over the world. That's a nice position to be in, especially at a young age and kind of like as a starting artist. It's a really nice position to be in. Did you
uh,
um did you have was it a competition? Was there prizes or anything like that?
Unfortunately, no. I don't like
No.
the idea of prizes so much.
Gotcha.
And at the same time, this is a recurring, we had this big lineup of like 70, 80 films, and we were going a biennial edition, like 2 years, one edition to cover all those many countries.
Mm.
So, uh, because it was like
Biannual,
that, we
gotcha.
cannot just give prizes all the time.
100%.
you
Was
know
there
uh,
this is like
or
really
maybe
interesting to me, so I have a lot
but
of questions for you.
the big filmmakers were all, I mean most of them were like, that's a cool initiative, I never heard of a psychedelic film festival before, have this for free. So that's one part of the
Oh,
reason
interesting.
that I cannot do it anymore, because if I do it very professional, I need to get some real funding and get a
Totally.
real team, and
Yeah.
I don't want that, because then the people who, there's a guy who Eric O, who was nominated for Oscar 2 times. There was is Syriac who has hundreds
Syria.
of
Yeah.
millions of views,
Dude, I've been
and
trying to get.
other
Do you
big.
know him? Do you know him?
Yeah, I
Can
mean,
you
I don't
connect?
know him personally.
Okay.
I have his
Okay.
email, and I will
Okay. You have to
see
share
if
with
it's
me.
possible. Yeah,
Dude, I've been
actually, I
trying to
have.
reach
Yeah.
that because he's like my first, like those were like the most viral like videos before even YouTube or anything. Those like crazy Syriac videos of all the crazy, and you're like, how does he even make any of that shit? It was
He's
so,
creating his own music. He's crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
and
it
I
was
don't know.
crazy that stuff. My
And
first
at the
DJ
end
loops
of
were those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like just
Steeler.
like take. Yeah, fuck you.
We were young. We were young.
No,
We were
I
young.
ripped them and I edited them. There was a lot of work involved with stealing.
Can you put my PC? I don't know if you have my PC or
Yes,
not.
yes. The names. Oh, sweet.
So
Gotcha.
this was like a simple black and white flyer to not spend a lot of money, and so try to see how many people you know. For instance, this is the edition
Syriac. Yeah.
2004.
Interesting. And this is so these are the not the. Oh, okay. Introspective.
This
Huh.
is the
Interesting.
film. This is the two chapters of each night. We
Uh huh.
had the meta fun, which was funny and playful and colorful, and then the introspective journey, the more serious stuff.
Simon
This is
Russell
from,
sounds
for instance,
familiar.
from Rijeka, from Croatia. But we have
Rijeka. I've been
from,
there. It's a cool place.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I love Romania, bro. It's one of my favorite places. I could do
That's
Romania.
Croatia. That's Croatia. That's
Oh,
Croatia.
Rijeka is Croatia. Rijeka is Croatia.
Yes.
Rijeka is Croatia. That's right. I love Croatia. It's one of my favorite places.
Okay, maybe
Um,
you know these guys.
let's see. Victor Foda. Yeah, we spoke about him. Um,
You should know all these guys. I
I
mean,
know
in
some of
general,
them. I mean, Ben
you would
Ridgway,
appreciate most of them.
Tass for sure.
Ben actually he reached out to me, so it
That's
was
amazing.
amazing and such an honor
Amazing.
to just from
He's
out of the
amazing guy.
blue. He was like, "I heard that you make a festival in San Francisco. I want to send you something." Cool.
Nice. Chris Eisner sounds really familiar as well. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, there's very good people here. And yeah, let's see a little bit more to give credit because I cannot speak about everybody, but just put a
Who's
little
Android
bit of
Jones? Never
names.
heard of that guy.
It was pretty hard to get to Android Jones. He
I'm
didn't
sure.
reply to me. And then I went to Boom and I said, "Hey, can I
Met.
speak to you a little bit? You have a badge? Yes. Okay, then you can come." Uh, and then he said, yeah, no problem. I tell my guy to give you any files you want."
Nice. Neil
He was
Gibson.
very
He's
cool guy.
obviously amazing. Stephen Cruz. I know Stephen Cruz. Very nice. Yeah, very nice. Very cool, dude. It's super. Andy Thomas. Nice. Don't recognize anybody else. It's really cool. Like, is this do you is it like it's 2025 already. Is it like almost like a faded kind of thing, or is it still something that brings you a lot of like joy to talk about and remember? Like, is it, you know what I mean? Like, is it sour a little bit that you're not doing it anymore, or is it more like you did it, you got what you wanted out of it, and
Both, yeah.
both? No,
I
because
mean,
it seems like you put
I
a lot of work into it.
yeah, but I told you it couldn't grow more, and I have
Mm,
to choose. I have to choose a life. I cannot. I
mm.
have to put food on the table,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
have
yeah.
to follow my dreams because this is the thing that this is a very big parenthesis. Look, Julius,
Yeah,
you had him on. We met
amazing.
real time.
I
A
love him.
bunch of
He's a
very
lovely guy.
very cool people here.
Yeah.
Um, what was I talking about? So
Well, I mean, how did you go from? Well, let's watch this as well. But how did you go from film festival to film festival curation, making movies, to becoming what you are now? This kind of like a
yeah, yeah,
generative
yeah.
procedural artist, performer,
Exactly.
VJ.
So first I wanted to make movies. Then I didn't have where to put the bank Tripoteca. Tripoteca was a very long parenthesis, but at the same time, it helped me to learn more Adobe and a lot of Resolume and
Mm-hmm.
Touch Designer because I was creating teasers and
Mm-hmm.
posters and PR material because I was doing everything. PR,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I mean, I had pop-up teams in each country. I was making like volunteer teams, and there were friends helping me, friends that were created there, and people lending me their couches and everything.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
uh, this was a big parenthesis, but once in Toulouse, and I will show you the pictures.
Please.
We had, I think, yeah, no, this. We had a sold out event 2 weeks before in the biggest art house cinema in Toulouse, in um, Utopia Cinema.
Toulouse, that's in Romania. I love Toulouse. Toulouse is amazing.
And yeah, and I didn't have a VJ for one night.
Hmm.
I couldn't find one. It was actually, I don't know, it just didn't have the right connections there. I tried with the couple that were somewhere else, and I just said, I can do it. I can do
Hmm.
it. I know After Effects. I know Resolume. I can do it. And my first VJ appearance was with a full house, like a
Nice.
full house of people watching what I was doing on a very high end projector. This is not
Nice.
how usually VJs start out.
No.
I was also performing in an alien costume to curate. I had a small chaos pad with me to distort my voice and this trippy glasses, and I was doing a cold act with me saying and there was text coming out, and there was like my alien language and everything.
Uh-huh. Was
But
it was it interactive or was it like Resolume? More like clip, like loops?
no, it was loops with some
Some effects?
microphone, a little bit audio reactive, but
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
Anyway,
Super
but this
cool.
is how I started, because of need again.
Yeah.
And
And
then I
then
started to with this nepotism of going to my own festivals. I'm sorry, but this is a budget constraint, very good for keeping a low budget.
so was it okay, so then you start getting so when did you start getting into like the more real-time generative stuff? Like what was the shift to touch designer from, cuz VJing is one thing, and then using touch design or generative art is a very separate thing. They're definitely connected, and you can be both, and that's like very nice. But there are so many real time generative artists that don't VJ, and there are so many VJs that don't do real time generative stuff. Those things are like mutually exclusive. They have connections, but they're not necessarily. So where was your shift into generative procedural real time graphics happening?
Well, let's just take one more step until then,
Sure.
because I was very passionate about fractals
Oh,
first. So
really? Oh,
that was my
the
first thing.
psychedelic film curator liked fractals. I'm so surprised.
Yeah, also my brother is a mathematician.
Oh,
He works at
cool.
Stanford and does a lot of
Wow.
geometry with multidimensionality. I can show you
Damn. That sounds
a
sick.
trailer afterward.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Exotic spheres and stuff like that. It's
What?
very weird new geometries from higher dimensions. It's topology. He's a
Wow.
specialist in topology.
No
So
fucking way.
he gave me a little bit of this inspiration to love math. He
Interesting.
also showed me my first Lynch movie, so that was, and my
Nice.
first
Rest
noise
in
music.
peace.
So yeah. But at the same time, so fractals, I started with, I don't know if you know all this, but apophysis. That was one of the first 2D fractal software that I knew, and was
Okay.
very rudimentary but very okay. And I can actually show you a
Yeah.
couple of the first fractals I
Sure.
did for some VFX of some of my movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in parallel learning Mandelbull 3D to
Mm.
have the 3D and the 2D world to learn it.
Mm.
So wait, maybe I just go here because I cannot find it. Just a bit. Uh, mm, okay. So yeah, I started with Mandelwolf apophysis to create, for instance, this kind of stuff. Wait,
Mm-hmm. This is your stuff?
this, only this,
Wow.
bang, and then this is Mandelbulb. So yeah, this is a
Wow.
whole film, Lumen Ambrosia. Check it out. I
Super
had it
cool.
at multiple animation festivals, and it's from 2014. And
Nice.
for instance, this is me. Look,
Huh. Good you. Nice. Oh wow. Super cool.
bang. Anyway, this type of movies I was interested in doing,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the time so much because of the film festival.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still doing a bunch of them, a few. And the fractals helped me to add a little more geometry and more mystery. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but for my second year of DJing, first I started with YouTube stuff and remixing shit and Resolum effects. But at the second year, I started doing my Chaotica um, and Mandelbulb sets. I don't know if you know Chaotica,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
for me,
Chaotic, I
that
know. It's also 2D.
is yeah, is the best 2D software for
Mm-hmm. Fractals.
fractals, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
It's the most sharp, the most beautiful outputs
Yeah.
that you can get.
Also,
I
the
also
the
tried
interface is also very nice. It's like a more classical like design program interface. Like Mandelbub is
yeah, it's
like you
more
have to be some
professional.
psychopath to be able to use it properly.
But it's paid. So yeah, a lot of fractal software
Are free.
are free. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was worth the money because I really did some funny stuff that I don't know if I have it right here. But Chaotica was great, and then I started with J Wildfire, Incendia. I even had a guy reaching out from me to test his Fractorium, which
Oh,
is
Fractorium, a touch designer, right? Is that the one I touched?
no,
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 what was the
no, no. That's Fractal. That's Fractal.
Fractal? Okay, that's Fractal. What's Fractorium?
Fractorium was just one software that I don't have anymore. I don't know if it was ever released, but
Uh
I
huh.
have some fractals made in it because I
Okay.
tested for a guy. But I used it for just a few 1 week or something like this. You can see my
Yeah.
PC.
Yeah. PC, please.
I can show you these rare fractals that will probably never be done before, but they're pretty simple because they're from a very long time ago. Uh, where are you?
I remember downloading Fractals and being like, "What? How is this even? How is this even possible?" You know, like coming from Mandelbulb, where everything takes like 10 minutes to fucking load, and you're like in Fractals, and you're just like flying around fucking Fractals. It was so crazy. And now it's like real time Fractals are pretty common, I guess. But back then it was just insane to be able to have that controls, all the controls, and wow, look at this. Interesting.
This is from like 2014, yeah, or 2015. 2015. But yeah, I still like it. I still use it as a layer from time to time.
Super cool. Very pretty. I like the
Okay,
outlines.
and
Very nice. Like the front, whatever. I don't know what's happening in the front. It's like some. It's like almost like emissive lighting on it. Looks almost like
and
Shipibo.
I was rendering everything at 3840 and 1200 for two projectors. This was my main rendering thing for a lot of years. I
Really?
just liked
Dual
white
projection.
stuff.
The wide.
Yeah, I just liked white stuff, and I my computer didn't handle so well 4K, and I thought this was
Mm.
the sweet spot
It's
of
like a half
using more
4K.
layers. Yeah.
Interesting. I love it.
um, Okay, so then around the more recent period, I have other type of more advanced fractal. Shout out to
Ooh.
Matteo, the from Machina Infinitum,
Yeah.
who did
The
transposing of
Unreal
fractal formulas not only to Unreal but first to all the normal
Cinema.
classical cinema and
Yeah.
Blender.
Octane. Right. They have a thing for
I'm
Octane.
a Blender user, but Octane works in Blender as well. So this is that they also did the Unreal plugin. I have that as well, but
Yeah.
I haven't used get the
Sorry.
chance to use it.
This what we're seeing right now. That what you just showed us was that in Blender
Wait, let's come back to it. Let me. Everything that I do is kind of a mix of different techniques.
mix.
So this is yeah, Blender with a bunch of reaction diffusion textures from Touch Designer
Gotcha. Gotcha. On the model, like what you're
and the
sending it in.
model and the background.
You're sending it
But
into
it's not
Blender.
live. It's
No,
not
it's not live.
well. It's sending it into Blender, but not live. It's opening a texture file.
Okay, you're
So
rendering it. You're rendering it from Touch Designer and then opening it in Blender.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
This is
Gotcha.
actually I render a lot. For instance, one VR film that I did in Mandelbull, the only VR film that I ever did, took like 3 weeks of rendering on 3 laptops because I was
Sick.
using just laptops back then. I don't know. I was young, and now I have to. Uh, let's see, big boys
Oh,
like here, and
big boy.
another big, and another big boy in the back, even bigger. So with a Threadripper, but I was using laptops. There were I needed to have more laptops to have more installations, so
Mm-hmm.
I was rendering. A lot,
Mm.
a lot, and I
Mm.
still do. I This is one of the subjects that I want to talk to you about because
Yes,
I have a
please.
few subjects that I want to get into as well. After I finish this Genesis, I have a little bit more left, but I have a few subjects that I want to interact with you as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
let me just say very fast the titles. I finished the Genesis and then. We'll see. So, Light Wizards and the Flyers, film versus visual or story versus abstract, commercials, real
Mm.
time versus rendered.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency versus non-consistency. Stage
Mm.
design versus LED, or stage design versus cool buildings or other
Mm-hmm.
architecture elements.
Mm-hmm.
AI or not AI. Mapping phase versus paid gigs, and that's it. Yeah.
A lot of verses, like a lot of
Yes,
fighting
we
going on.
have
A lot
some
of
battles.
fighting.
Yeah,
A
let's
lot of
battle. Let's
fighting.
battle. No right answers, just preferences. But why not battles?
Awesome. Yeah, let's finish. So let's
Because
finish your
I am
Genesis.
a
So
super. Yeah,
tell me how you
So
fucking got into Touch Designer. Jesus.
well,
Touch Designer.
I don't actually remember. I just learned a bunch of softwares, and I needed
Okay.
stuff. I need
Okay.
this
Genesis over.
geometry from here. I need this. Well, there's still a little bit more to
Okay.
become for the present, but
Okay. Okay.
it's also Danny from our light helped me out with this. He was a big inspiration to because
Nice.
he was learning it. We actually I heard about it first in France after a Tripoteca where he was with me in France, and we spoke with another friend of mine that he was using it for magic, for performance with magic and a little bit of visuals. And
Magic,
Danny was
like
like,
like like
"Wow,
hand
yeah,
magic, like
yeah."
magic. The
I
fuck?
don't remember so well, and I don't have his contact anymore. But
Sounds
there were a
crazy.
bit of projections in some magic tricks. I don't know how to explain right
Sounds
now. I'm
crazy.
sorry, but he told us more about how he works. Danny already knew about Touch Designer. I was completely new, and then he started doing that. I was doing my festival, but I started to learn a little bit in parallel and bugging him on the phone, but with minimal things. I learned to learn more from online because you
Mm.
can pause the tutorial, and I don't feel I really need an instructor, or just if you're in the very deep thing that you need a detail, and it's good to call a friend.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
think for learning
but that was
any software, having a friend who knows how to use it to be able to ask questions is crucial. You know, it's like an instructor, right? Like you have an instructor in class or whatever, you can ask them. Having like a friend instructor is crucial because sometimes the hard part of learning something is not knowing what to search for or what to ask, right? Like you can be the best, nowadays with AI, you can prompt whatever, but even back then, you needed to know how to search for things in forums or whatever. But sometimes you don't know what it is that you're searching for because you don't know how to use the software. You don't know what it is, you know? So having that friend that you can abstractly be like, hey, how do I do X and X and X and Y and Y and Y, whatever, they can be like, oh, that's called this, or oh, there's a node that does that, you know, and then you can search for the thing. But yeah, I think it's crucial to have that, friend or like somebody who you can even. It might not even be a friend. It might be just somebody that you met in a forum, right, or somebody you met in a group or whatever that you can somewhat message. That's why I don't know if you must get a lot of messages from people all the time, I'm sure. But anytime people ask me questions or stuff, I always answer. I don't give them hours of my
I
time
cannot
if I
get. Yeah, you cannot go into
you
depth.
can't,
Yeah,
but I always be like, hey, oh, this is where you should go look
yeah,
at, this
yeah.
is where you should go, because you don't know how much help you're helping that person just by doing that one thing, right? um
Exactly,
and for me it's important.
exactly. I did teach a little bit,
Yeah, I
but
saw you
just
have a
for
course, right?
yeah,
What is
but
it?
just some I don't know, to put food on the table. I was never into formal education. I keep
Hmm.
telling the students that I had that is there's online better online stuff.
Hmm.
I tell them this at the end, but I did have to
Yeah.
uh, I mean, some people prefer it this way. Some people prefer the live
Yeah.
because there were some live recordings and people I actually helped them with that. But
Hmm.
for me, I this is not how I would teach. I don't want to have somebody all the time near me I'm more of a loner. Uh,
Interesting.
but at the same time, I had once a project with a dome at Amural Festival in Brasov, and I
Amoral,
needed
yeah.
yeah, it was actually one of my
It's
first gigs that was not
what's
nepotism from for
what's
Tripoteka.
Razvan,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Is that his name?
Uh, he, yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
It's a great festival. It was a great festival of mapping in
Not
Brasov.
they're not
At
doing it again. They're not doing it anymore.
no, there was some problems with
Mm,
politics and stuff like that,
bummer.
unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a really cool
Yeah,
one. Really nice.
the greatest festivals in Romania, Amural, Waha, and Tripoteka are not there anymore. I'm
Right,
sorry.
Waha was the last year, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Alina was
yeah.
telling me that. That's so sad.
Everything has a life,
Waha was
unfortunately.
fucking awesome, dude. Waha was such a great festival. Wow, like such a the location for like just unbelievable, but just the way that they curated and like focused on each stage that was so like one of the years the
A
year that I
lot
was
of
there the
diversity.
a lot of it, the techno stage was projection mapping on like a stone and like a big rock,
Yeah,
and
I
like I
did
remember
that also.
I remember seeing it. I'm like, this is not gonna work. This is gonna look so weird. And then Paqueta or whatever, all the people that were there did stuff on it. And it was so fucking cool. I was like, oh, this is amazing. So such a simple thing, but it was so cool.
Yeah, I did a carriage this year, and it was Alina's ideas because we couldn't do a sculpture that wasn't very good, and she was like, "Why don't we just project on this carriage?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And it
Nice
turned out great. It's
carriage,
very
like a
freestyle.
a ch-
It was
horse
a
and
and carriage, but no horse. And that carriage was the place where you got your money and tokens thing,
oh, that's
bracelet
cool.
stuff.
That's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I don't know where we came. There's a lot of train of
are
thoughts and stuff like
are
that,
we
but
done with
it's
the? Are we well? Are we done with the
yeah,
Genesis?
yeah. But at the same time, I just wanted to say that
Please.
um, I want to come back to film. So I want to lay low of visuals for a while, and I will come back to film. And this, all this that I did until now, I feel it's like my school, my life.
Mm.
I have like, I want to have a major in directing and a minor in animation, something like that. Because I need to understand, to be a good director, the
Mm,
people that I work the most closely with. And for me, being in the surreal or animation side, I need to work as close as possible with animators, or
mm,
actually do my own animation. And the Tripoteca part was a good thing to just refine my tastes, and doing
mm,
curation was just putting the bedrock of my aesthetics, and how I need to think about art, and how what are the top people that can do crazy stuff in trippy
interesting.
worlds, and have some references, and have a soup of ideas in my head all the time. So,
Hmm.
so I think that that was some learning parts, and now I'm here inside of this big mess of doing VJing that I'm not actually 100% passionate about, but I'm still a lot
Mm,
very passionate,
really?
because
You wouldn't? I
I
wouldn't guess that
started
at
to
all
become.
because you're
Well, I'm
so.
not, because I really love the movies, and if you watch the
Mm,
Tripoteca movies, some of them are just incredible,
mm.
story and visual wise, and I'm just into story. That's me. Some people are more into
So
performance aspect.
the performance aspect is something that you're. It's like secondary almost.
It's started, the genesis actually at Amural. It started because I had some friends of mine who were doing visuals like Auralai, Kote, Viloop,
Kote.
and they were making money. I was just
Mm,
going from one country to the next, having plane tickets, food tickets,
right.
and being a bum. And I needed to put the food on the table, and I saw that, may I already do video mapping for myself.
Right. I know how to
But
do it.
I can get some like commercial gig. I need to survive, and
Mm,
I came back from this Tripoteca journey, and I wanted to settle back into Romania a little bit, and I
mm.
needed rent and all that. So I was like, video mapping. And
Interesting.
it worked. It worked, and I got commercial gigs and stuff like that. And I left commercial gigs, thank
Mm,
God. For a couple of years now, I don't take anymore. Only if there's like huge amount of money, and that
yeah.
I can do all my creative stuff afterward.
Yeah.
But now it has to be really in the huge amounts, because it's boring. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Of
don't like
course.
text. I don't like text on pretty stuff. Pretty stuff
Yeah.
with text, or the text here on my this I like, but
What is that text
not.
actually?
It's just the things
Is
that
it
I.
is it Chat GPT? Are you like reading Chat
No,
GPT
no,
instead of talk like are you
no, no. It's just my notes, like
you're
LED
not
versus
I'm just
video
joking. I'm just joking.
mapping, stuff like that. To
So
Because I
tell
have
me.
these topics that I want to share.
So first of all, before I'm sorry. We are time wise. I need to shift a little bit. Um, but
How much was the time?
we're about 65 minutes, so we're about an hour. About
Okay.
an hour in.
We're good. We're very good.
Yeah, we're good. No, we're great. We're good. But this is the time to shift. So I don't know really what you have prepared for this set, and I guess we've kind of been doing a set as we're kind of talking, seeing a lot of stuff. So before we kind of dive a little bit more into Touch Designer and kind of some stuff that you wanted to show us, um, I want to just talk a little bit about the Romanian VJ scene, because like
Yeah.
you said, you went back to Romania and you were instantly able to start a career more or less out of projection mapping and VJ, and that's not a very common thing. I don't think, you know, I'm Israeli. In Israel in 2015, there was maybe two VJs, or I'm sure there was many more, but there was two important VJs. And then when I got into the scene, 2015, 2016, we started shifting the gear into making VJ like an actual career that people can follow. And now, almost 10 years later, you have tens of VJs, if not, maybe not hundreds, but like tens of VJs, and every event has visuals in it. So it was something that we made into a scene. And a lot of places in the world are starting to have this more and more and more. So, but when I went to Romania in 2017, 2018, there was already a scene. There was already like lots of VJs, lots of people doing touch designer, lots of like things happening. And every event that I went to had visuals, you know, whether it was in a club, whether it was a festival. So, you know, what was the kind of, you know, what can you tell us about this scene? Like, where does it come from? Why is it so powerful? You know, do you have any insights for us in that context?
Yes. Well, I think there's two main things that happened. First, I think maybe some would not agree that this is the most important, but for me, it pretty much is. IMAP happened. You know
Oh,
IMAP?
Bucharest, right? Of course. Yeah.
So this is the biggest, or
Right.
it
Of
was
course.
for
IMAP is in Romania.
until
Right.
last year or something like this. Maybe they did a bigger one in, but I for a long time was the biggest projection in the world. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it still
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 120 projectors, and then now it's down to like 80 or something like
Mm-hmm.
this. And it's on the House of the People, which is the second largest administrative building in the world after the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's huge. It's huge. It's made out of sweat and blood and tears of people who got deported from that
Yeah, we'll talk.
neighborhood in the time of,
Mm.
yeah, what? Yeah, in the
We'll,
time of
we'll get into that.
communism.
Yeah, we'll get into that at the end. I want to talk about that for sure.
Okay, maybe not. It's okay,
A
but
little bit.
the main thing is that is this championship that is
Mm-hmm.
considered the world's championship of video mapping. To
Mm-hmm.
get selected there, you have to have a few golden awards at other competitions
Yes. Yes.
to be inside.
Yes. Wait. So before, okay, continue this thought because it's very interesting. Just a side note. Um, do you know, like, in terms of the percentage of people performing at IMAP, is it mostly Romanians or no?
No, no, no.
No.
There's
Okay. Okay.
actually only one Romanian team that ever
Gotcha.
projected there, and
Gotcha.
it's mostly
Interesting.
teams or I don't know, very
Yeah, like studios, like
established. Or,
yeah,
yeah,
established
mostly
studios.
studios. I
Yeah.
saw a couple of independent artists. I think I went to only one edition actually,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
but it's
But this is in
yeah,
the
it's hard to
zeitgeist,
get
right?
in.
You have this in the zeitgeist, like as this big festival, like, you know, people can. It's kind of like a
Exactly.
carrot on a string, right? Of like, oh, if we, you know, we could go look at it. It's very interesting. What?
It's a catalyst not so much for us as
Mm-hmm.
artists, but for
Mm-hmm.
the public. Like the public
Mm,
knows what is video mapping. They go
right.
for free every September to see
Right.
the world's biggest
Right.
video mapping show with the world's
Interesting.
fanciest studios. So
Mm-hmm.
they know, and they're cool with it, and they understand
Mm,
that this is a thing that usually happens, and we need
right.
this at events to look cool. So this is a part, but also Sunrise is a big part. This big techno event that is kind of messy, not my style, but
Mm-hmm.
at the beach that brought huge DJs, and but where a lot of very good Romanian VJs work and do crazy stage designs, and they always supported the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these are the two factors. I think that we had a very big growth in VJing. It's maybe one of the most competitive scene in Europe. Maybe not
I think
France
so. I
or
mean,
UK, but that's yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
one of
I
the
think,
biggest.
I think it's safe to say that in terms of like talent that comes out of a place, Romania is definitely one of the biggest ones. I think that obviously it's constantly shifting all the time. The US now has tons of, but it's interesting because the talent in the US, and this is, we can talk about your mapping versus LED. The talent in the US is very focused on content, on LED, like on you know, on whether it's rendered or not rendered, it's just content in front of your face, which is a very American kind of idea. And in Europe, Israel, like, you know, the places that that are other big scenes of VJs and visual and mapping is much more on the mapping, right? Of like, you know, architectural mapping, stage design mapping, even like mural mapping, kind of this very idea. And then because it's focused on this kind of mapping and things like that, you're going to get into the more generative artists. You're going to get into the more, real-time artists, more, not less, but like more abstract in that sense, um, which is very interesting. I think that's very interesting because the scenes kind of grow separately, but also together. Just as an example, like, I guess 2 years ago when I was at Boom, but also last year at Boom, Datagramma made an emphasis on having a screen with inside of the stage, right? Why? Because then they could bring, Julius Haristis and
Yeah.
Martin Stebbing and artists that are only focused on screens, but have still the mapping around it, which I think is, for me, that's like kind of a highlight, right? Of like both best of both worlds, where you can kind of tell a story with a screen, but still have this kind of like trippy, abstract, very immersive kind of feeling of the mapping. But there's such different things, and like you're doing a lot of screen stuff as well, but you're integrating it with your, what you were showing us before with those pipes screens on the sides. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, what do you like more? What is more interesting for you?
Well, first of all, I had wonderful collabs with stage designers. Let's not, but I
Yeah, it
do
makes a
love
big.
LEDs. Shout out to Christo, shout out to Martin Marshev, shout out to Acid Carpentry, shout out to anybody that I forgot, and I'm sorry that I did. But I love you guys, and it's very good what you're doing. But there's creativity from another side, and blending the techniques and blending natural and building with the digital. That's a wonderful thing. But I cannot tell you how much I do also enjoy the freedom of LEDs, because
Mm,
I grew up in doing video performance in cinemas. I
mm,
didn't grow up in parties. I didn't. I
mm,
was people standing on the seat and looking directly at me and then applauding at me at the actual thing. The
mm,
big screen is the main thing, not the
mm.
music,
Right.
not the performer, the screen. It's a
Yeah.
huge
It's
cinema
difference.
quality thing, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's how I really enjoy, because the attention was there, the tension and attention
Mm,
was there.
mhm, mhm,
So also you're not stuck to. Sometimes you can find creativity in being limited by some factors, of course. But I like to collab, but at the same time you have only this thing in
Stage.
stage
Yeah.
design.
Yeah.
It's a stage and it's not yours. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the artist is so great for daytime and so on, but then you are just coloring it in a way,
Mhm,
or it's
mhm.
a basic thing to say, but
Yeah.
at the
No,
same
you are.
time I cannot create my own story so much. I cannot have the
Mm,
character. I cannot have the intrigue so much.
mm,
It's all the time is that thing that is the same, which
mm.
is beautiful and I enjoy. But I don't know. I really love the freedom.
Interesting. Two things that popped out at me when you were talking right now. One is the story aspect, right? Like that's something that I've been striving for years to kind of like, how do you tell a story through visuals, through abstract, right? And then just in general, like in projection mapping, like you said, you're stuck to the structure. How do you invoke like a story or a character? And
You
for
have your
me,
merkabas.
you've been listening. That's one for sure. But really, a big part of it is the real time. Is that you're not cutting at any point. I'm not cutting a loop or mixing a loop. It's like it's one continuous thing. So now, if it's one
Ah, we can
continuous
go
thing,
back to that one.
then you can have like a moment where things are moving but coming back, and then they're going away and coming back, or there's just something about the aspect of like, even if it's not like pieces moving like what I'm doing a lot of, like the physics stuff, even if it's like generated like Orali, they're really good at this, right? They're kind of like, you
Yeah.
have a scene and it's like a very well designed, pretty colors, everything's matching scene, and then that is going to kind of evolve into something else as time goes on, you know. But it's never cut. It's always like kind of like this movement. And then if you think about like what a movie is, right? Like what is a movie? A movie is really just like a continuous uh, 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 um, stream of consciousness, right? I mean, a good movie. Some movies are shitty and cut a lot, but I mean, my favorite filmmakers are the ones that do these super long shots, right? That are like your time is kind of like in real time, where you're seeing it as the audience. You're seeing like the movement of everything. Um, yeah, it's just for me that's like so immersive. So I think there is a way of doing it, you know, in the mapping. But yeah, it is interesting when you get like the second thing that I wanted to say is like the instant feedback of a crowd, right? This is a one of the main reasons that I left filmmaking was because and I think as I get older, there's more of like drawing back into this. I think as a young person, it was a lot more
You
interesting
have
for me
more
to
energy.
I don't know what it is. It's like when you make a movie,
Young energy. No?
you come up with the idea, you write the script, you film it, you edit it, you add the VFX, and then you release it. It's like a years. It could be years. It could be months. It could be
Yeah.
whatever. But it's time. When you're performing, when you're VJing, it's instant. Like, yeah, I spend months making my patches, but then when I go and perform and I show it to people, it's like instant. Oh, I loved it. Oh, that was great. Oh, people come up to the booth, whatever. You know, you're getting the claps. It's like it's not an ego thing. It's like a creative feedback thing, right? Like as a creative person, I want to express myself. I want to release my art because maybe whatever the reason is, I want to inspire people. I want to get feedback for what I'm doing. I want to be better at what I'm doing. Whatever it is, there's the return, right? And like when you make a movie, that return takes forever. When you're making visuals, you get it right there. So I think for me that was like very attractive, you know, of like, oh, I can be an artist in the moment instead of like I'm in the shadows, or not even in the shadows, just like my idea and my creative energy is like spread out over time, you know?
Yeah, I understand this, but at the same time, let's battle here with the rendered and real times stuff. Let me go back to what your point of not having ping pongs in our content. No, that's the point
Yeah.
is that I'm crazy and I render. Sometimes I leave my computers on for months with remote access and stuff, and I render like 10 minutes, 15
Mm,
minutes loop.
mm,
Where do you see the cut? And I render them listening to the music. I mean, I make them while listening to my music, going into the vibe, also adding a little bit of real time elements to feel like it's real time. And
mm-hmm,
the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So you will never see that cut. Maybe if you're a very video artist who really wants to know the techniques and wants to see, hey, where's the cut, because looks too sharp to be real
mm-hmm,
time,
mm-hmm,
maybe you
mm-hmm,
will see it. But I do full wizards too, and sometimes nobody notices, like, how can you do that real time, it's too much
mm-hmm,
quality. And like,
mm,
no, I render for weeks, but I
mm.
do put a little bit of for instance the edges and
Post process of some sort.
the edges and the leds, these are real time, to play with
Gotcha.
them, to have some variation. I
Gotcha.
put stream diffusion to add DJ, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
Kinect, something. I have some alpha channel with some balls that are
You
real
like balls,
time.
huh?
Uh, Whatever. Yeah, I like people. For me to have them, not and
Cool.
I give it to my public. But anyway, bad joke. So the idea is to have an illusion. Art
Mm,
is the art of illusion. So
mm,
if you cannot notice this real time, what for me is the most important is maximizing beauty, and maximizing beauty is by very complex geometries. And
mm,
sometimes I even need to have, I mean, the thing is, I told you this back before we started the conversation, but I'm not a genius researcher guy who does patches and stuff like that. I remix patches, I learn tutorials, I understand techniques, I understand how to blend techniques and how to control them. But I'm not a researcher, but my skill in particular is to find a marriage between all these geometries and render engines to cohabit in the same same
The same
space, and to focus on
coexist
color
and
grading
yeah,
and just integrating from one software to another, and having these meta techniques and not
just
meta
one being
like
stuck to
techniques of
one.
map.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, this is where I try to find originality, because you find originality if you put your operators together and find all this connection. But I connect styles to
mm.
have a new style, and sometimes I even like different rendering engines. It gives me a challenge to try
To learn them.
to blend them together, because
Yeah,
they're from the same universe. Everything is
mm.
from the same universe. We live in
Right.
reality, and if you want to express something that is outside of reality, even if you have a pretty weird geometry, maybe you can add another geometry for some reaction, diffusion, fractal,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, some fluids, some stuff like that. Because this is how it is in nature also. You
Mm.
see a lot
Mm-hmm.
of stuff that look completely alien to each other, but they
Right.
cohabit in the same
Yeah.
universe,
Wow.
and that's possible. And this is my story of making stories through geometries, like you do with your Merkabas. But I do want more story than that, and that's why I strive for film.
I love that. Yeah, I recently I don't know, maybe it's having a like a kid or something. I don't know where when it really started, but recently there's like lots of ideas in my head that aren't like pretty imagery, that are more like dialogue or character ideas, and I'm like, fuck, I don't have the mental capacity to like actually like do anything with it right now. But my younger brother started getting into film, and he went to film school, and like now he's like getting his creative identity. So I'm hoping that he'll become like professional and successful, and then I can just tag along. I can, hopefully he'll make his career in a film, and then I'll be like, can I help you write this thing? um but yeah,
This
it's
is how I am doing right now, actually.
you're
But
doing
I'll
it for
let you finish.
yourself. You're doing it for yourself, right? You're like making your own
No, I'm
thing.
hoping on the back of a friend to kind of, or I'm
Oh, back
asking
and forth.
for help. Maybe I
Nice.
should leave this for the end, but who cares?
Okay.
But I do want to leave visuals for a while, just
Mm-hmm.
go to my main clients that I really need to have some responsibilities for, but try to get as few gigs as possible, and it's focused on making a full length movie. I have
Fuck
a
yeah.
friend that is a screenwriter and director,
Mm-hmm.
and I pitched to him the book that my brother also he was the first one to give it to me. It's the Journey to Venus, or the year 4000, the first Romanian novel from the year. Wait for it. One 899.
No fucking way. What's it called? The what? The Story of
Uh,
Venus?
the journey of, you can, if you want to screen share, I can
Yeah, please. This sounds super interesting. The Journey of Victor Anestin.
yes, exactly.
Wow.
Actually,
See,
I have
this
it
is
here.
such a smart
Wait,
idea for you because
I
you'll
have it
get
here.
oh nice. You'll get support by the state. You'll get this is like a
Exactly,
you can
exactly,
fund it in a
exactly.
moment. It's such a cool idea. What is the story about?
Hopefully, well, it's about the humanity in the year 4000, with just 25 scientists running the whole planet, and two of them go to Venus for the first time. But watch out, in the 899, nobody even went to the moon. So
Right,
there's a
right, like
lot of misaccuracies and archaic language and all
it's
that good cheese.
a
And
sci-fi novel from the year 900. That's fucking
899, yeah,
crazy, bro. From
900
like the
exactly.
ninth century. That's fucking
Yeah, it's
crazy.
the
I never even
first
knew.
ever sci-fi novel
Sci-fi.
of Romania.
Wow. But wait, Romania existed in the ninth century, like the
Yeah, yeah.
kingdom, but it was like a part of
There was some
like
changes,
Prussia.
and we were great Romania and stuff like
Okay.
that. There were some changes, but the idea
Okay.
of
Okay.
Romania was back then as
That's
well.
wild. That's such a cool idea, dude. I hope that works out. That sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah, and I
Um,
have this friend, a screenwriter, and so on, and he will help me, and I will get a bunch of other help from animators, and hopefully I know some producers, he knows some producers, and hopefully somebody wants this project because it's a funky title for PR purposes, and we want to
sounds
make
super
it a
cool.
comedy. We want to
A
involve some
comedy.
Romanian comedians as well,
Comedians.
and this
Hell
will
yeah.
be action. This will be filmed like an actual movie, but I mean live action, but with comfy UI filters and
Well, like a
some
Scanner
3D and some.
Darkly vibes.
A Scanner Dark is a very good
Like a
reference that you said.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But
I
hopefully
love it.
much better because
Yeah,
we're
well,
in
more
2024.
modern, more like yeah, 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 yeah.
We're trying actually with a friend to find some new techniques of more consistency, more towards what the
Interesting.
runway has to offer from video to video. But there are
Mm.
some workflows in Comfy that you can do that. Usually I was more for the trippy stuff, but now
Mm-hmm.
I try to focus on consistency and having this new AI technology. You can have such a low budget scenography to do such
Mm.
high level. I mean, I don't know if high level is
Right.
because it's not
No, but stylized in some
Hollywood, but
interesting
yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Even though I
Interesting.
saw Arcane recently, the last
Oh, so
season,
good.
and
Such a good show.
it just made
So
me
beautiful.
sad a little bit. It's like, why am I doing a movie? I cannot have this fantastic
Well,
team,
the
and
saddest part of Arcane is that,
yeah,
that's going to be like in 10, 15 years, that's going to be hard to find, like, handmade,
yeah.
3D rendered animation like that. It's going to be,
I
they'll still be around, but it will be, yeah, I mean,
replaced.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Definitely, we'll talk about that AI and stuff in a moment. But okay. So Adistu, do you wanna jump into your set now? We can do a quick version of it. We can do a long version. Whatever you want to show us. Whatever you want to share with us.
Well,
I'd love to see
I'm sorry, but I told you this will be a special edition, and I don't have a
whatever.
set, but I can
Okay.
just pull you inside of my library and watch
I
some
want you.
visuals,
Yes. Let's
and
do it.
also some other stories about some projects, because again I don't have any super secret sauce that you cannot find online on tutorials. It's just the mixing of it and just thinking about the ideas are in the head, the good ones.
Mhm.
For instance, I'm remixing all my libraries of old fractals. This is
Mhm.
a very efficient way of producing new original content, which is actually something that I want to see, and I'm
Mm.
curious how the hell they look like, because people don't make this
Mm.
usually. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of AI or I have none. I haven't seen AI renders of actual fractals that look like the
No.
original fractals.
No, it doesn't exist. It's. I mean, it would be hard, I think, to consistency
I'm
wise.
remixing a lot of reaction diffusion. You can, yeah, do
Yep.
I have the screen?
Yes. PC,
Okay.
please.
So yeah, what I can show you is content. For instance, this is reaction diffusion in Touch
Really?
Designer, but with AI filters.
Okay. So you're using Comfy UI for stuff like this?
Yeah, first I used Warp Fusion before Conf UI was a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
and now I using Conf UI, and
Mm-hmm.
I was using for AI a lot of the time Visions of Chaos.
Visions of
Until
Chaos.
recently,
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
it's
Great
such a
one.
fun software,
Yes,
full of
super
the
nice.
most geeky software looking ever.
It's also like one of
And
those things that you can just try anything and it will pretty much look crazy, But not as much control as you have with Comfy UI, I don't think. much more
You can actually
experimental.
go inside of ConfUI in Visions of Chaos. It's such a big library of
Really?
different stuff: reaction
Right.
diffusion,
Yeah.
fractals, AI, all the models from
Yeah.
vegan clip to disco diffusion to stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was using it for the earlier models because I used vegan a lot. I was using it since the beginning. I was just curious what new patterns can technology do.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I feel like AI right now it's a good time that it started, because even in visuals but mostly in music, the
Mm-hmm.
styles got crystallized already. So
Mm.
original styles to create more, maybe in visuals not. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be discovered, but in
Mm-hmm.
music I feel like it's let me put another visual just to not bore you. This is a fractal from Machina's Infinitum Octane
Mm.
render, but then AI. So what was I saying? I'm sorry, it's too much train of thoughts.
Music versus
Ah,
visuals.
music is they all crystallize like psytrance, techno, rock, pop, whatever. There's not
Right.
a lot of new genres. They're just artists
Versions
that
of the, yeah,
have their own genre by
mm.
mixing those genres. Like if you do a
Subgenres,
soup of
right?
them,
Yeah.
subgenres, you use the genres as palettes of colors
Mm-hmm.
basically. So
Mm-hmm.
this is all the only thing that I can see new in music, which is great. I love new mixes of styles. This is what I actually, when people ask me, hey, what music you listen to, that boring question is like, dude, I don't listen to a specific genre of music. I
Mm-hmm.
usually listen to music that is not in a genre. If it
Mm.
already is in a genre, for me it means it has lower quality at the conceptual level. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's a super great production, ultra much effort put to make it and stuff like that, but if it's still inside of particular genre, it's like no thanks, or very hard for me to enjoy. But if an artist is their own style, then I
Mm-hmm.
can see it, like Dan Deacon, for instance. I don't know if you know him. It's a
No,
big
no,
electronic music guy.
sounds good.
He's his own style. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot say, he's that or that or that. It's an electronic
Right.
musician, and you can hear that is Dan Deacon. And that's it. That's the type of music that I like, and that's what
So
I
wait,
strive
these two.
for
Can you?
visuals.
I wanna
Yeah,
try something. Can you show me the original video of that fractal? Do you have it?
yeah, yeah.
Just as an A
Sure.
B, because it's super interesting to see the final
Transitions.
result, right? But it's interesting.
Actually, let me show you other ones that are
Okay,
even. I show you a bunch of them. So I
please.
have, for instance, this. Okay,
This is just a fractal.
this is just a fractal. So it's
Yeah.
just a fractal. Let me show you this also.
This is
This is
Mandelbulb.
just a fractal. This is Blender again,
Okay.
Octane.
Okay.
Okay. This is Blender, and it's not a fractal. It's geometry nodes.
Nice. Ooh, I like that a lot. Pretty.
Okay. Yeah, me too. And this, wait. There's a
The
Mandelbrot
triangle. I want to see the triangle.
also.
The triangle.
Uh, this is also a thing. Wait just a bit. Where, what triangle?
Go down.
Let's see.
That one.
This one.
Pinsky.
Yeah,
No.
this
No.
is
No.
not
No. Up.
this is not the original, but it's
Not this one. Not this
okay.
one.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
see the. So this is our
Is it
original
Blender?
Mandelbrot thing. No, this is
No, it's
Mandelbrot.
Mandelbulb. Okay.
It
Okay.
looks
Sorry. Sorry.
2D, but it's Mandelbrot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this can turn into this with the help of AI.
Mm. Interesting. And are
Well, it's
you
a little older. It's
are
but I
you
showed you
like?
all this, and
No. No. Continue. Show.
yeah,
Keep on showing me.
sorry. No, I will just showed you these free things, and now I wanted to show you the
What
AI
it comes out as.
versions. I
Yes,
was in.
please.
yeah, just to not ADHD so much the situation because we already do. Uh, let's stick to just finishing this. Which one? This. La la la. So yeah, I have, for instance,
The
with
ball. That's
the
interesting. The ball.
blender, the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh huh. Wow.
So this is the remix.
Interesting. And this isn't comfy.
This is in comfy.
Interesting.
Bang.
Could you show some of the comfy of this, or is it not interesting to see? I mean,
Well,
I would
I
think it would
don't.
be
I
interesting.
haven't on that computer, and it's not actually. I mean, it's like
It's
two
basic.
workflows that I well with IP adapters and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
So I wouldn't like to show the stuff that I'm not. I mean, there's workflows from people, from Patreon people.
Gotcha.
Jukebox Creative, for instance, is one of the guys that
Jukebox
I
creative.
yeah, you know that one. It's a big
Jukebox
AI
or
create.
jukebox?
I forgot the exact name. Let me go to my
I can find it.
Chrome, Instagram.
But I hear what you're saying. You don't want to show things that are just techniques and things of other people. I respect that.
Yeah. Anyway, I
You'll
want
find
to
it for me.
show the things that I will
Fair enough.
find it
Fair
for
enough.
you,
I just like how the
but
sausage is
other
made. You know.
I know, but this is not me. I mean, it's just me putting together two workflows of other
Gotcha.
people, which is fine because they're free
So
online.
let me
So,
ask you this: Why?
uh,
What is the to you right? Like when you're rendering something, are you thinking about what you're gonna AI it like when you're rendering it, or are you just like, okay, this looks cool as a render, I'm now gonna take it into Comfy UI and AI it?
well, me first, are you just screen sharing my fractal? No.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, that's great. So I just try to be as efficient as possible because I want to maximize beauty. So what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing is trying to get the laziest way possible to do beauty. And
Okay.
for now, it's me remixing my old stuff, which took months, weeks, days. White hairs in my beard to render, and this is like fractals from 2012 until now,
Right.
and I
Right.
just take all my old stuff and make it new because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I will get originality because nobody did a fractal in some weird plugin that doesn't
Hmm.
exist anymore. I did some chaotica fractals as well, and this is Mandelbulb also, um, with AI. Wait, why this doesn't work? Maybe Ali can help me, or my VLC went bad, but Ali can help me.
Alley for the rescue.
Why? No Ali, no VLC, nothing is
Oh,
working. Okay, here it is. So yeah, this
beautiful.
kind of stuff. It's Mandelbulb, and I haven't seen any of this, so I'm just trying to connect some dots and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
find a new source that is people will be like because people who get stuck into one software, they're like, yeah, you did the very complex stuff, but yeah, that's Touch Designer, that's Blender, but people want to go for me like, what the fuck is that? What's that? How? Wait, what? I mean, maybe you will know, but most people will not.
No, I mean, but it's like what we were saying before of like, it's in the eye of the beholder. Like most people don't know the difference between real time or Resolume. It's just it's the
Yeah.
feeling. It's the intention or the feeling or the frequency. Like that's all that matters really. So like for a crowd number to say what the fuck, it can be done in multiple different ways. You know what I mean? This is super cool. Nice consistency on
This
this
is
one.
runway. This is
Really.
runway.
Crazy.
Yeah, I do anything that I can get my hands on. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, I cannot say I'm a fractal expert like Julius, that I know of real-time fractals like Ray TK,
Mm.
or that I'm a great digital painter of. But I try to do a little bit of everything so I can connect the dots and do something meta, just in the
Mm.
style. But I cannot say I'm so geeky. I'm just in my head. I'm geeky. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, but the
But
results
I'm
are
lazy.
cool. Is this that? Is this the sphere? Is this the sphere that we saw before?
No, this is
No,
something completely
just
out of prompt. It was something else. I'm sorry, I
gotcha.
just popped in. But I have the cube here. I showed you a cube, and there's
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
cube.
Very nice.
So yeah,
And okay, so another thing about the render versus real time. When you're in real time, you can experiment and play with
yeah.
things, right? Do you wait? Keep we're in your set. You got to show
Ah,
some cool
oh
shit
yeah,
while we're
sure, sure.
talking.
Sorry, sorry.
Bro, come on.
Okay,
Well,
but first, wait. Put me a little bit. I want to change a little bit
okay,
my
you're here.
outfit, but
Okay.
without seeing it. So
Oh,
put
without
my feed,
okay.
my camera feeds, please.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a little too hot. This mask is
Oh,
not appropriate for me, and I want to change a little bit, but I don't want people to
we don't want to see. Yeah,
see
yeah.
me.
Okay, okay. Oh,
Because I like
oh.
this mystery. Um, I'm a big MF Doom fan, or Gorillas or stuff like that. So
Nice.
uh, wait just a bit. Okay,
Oh, wow. Cool.
but let me put a little more frames. I was in a stream diffusion setup, and I had just 10 frames, so everything would work more smoothly for stream diffusion. But now I'm at 30 frames, and it's
Very
much better.
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Um, when you're in real time, when you're kind of like playing with things and you can experiment, you can kind of like, play with things. When you're rendering, you have to kind of like wait for it to be rendered. Do you ever like feel that that's something that's stopping you from experimenting and things like that? When you're like, you're in comfy UI, you press render, you wait, or in Mandobub, whatever. Do you miss? Do you feel like that's missing in your workflow sometimes? Excuse me.
Well, not so much because I do use some real time stuff, but
Right.
just some
Fair enough.
elements. And like to combine the two worlds because of this
Mm.
illusion
Mm-hmm.
to make people think that everything is real time, and it's not.
Mm.
I like to trick people. Like I told you, big fan of MF Doom. That's why I'm not showing my face. Like a super villain inside of this visual thing. I'm not geeky. I try to just combine stuff, but and I don't. I'm too lazy to do everything real time. But at the same time, real time, if you don't just use a layer, have so much limitation of quality only if you have into NDI, and I don't like these very big setups if I'm traveling a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you cannot put so much complexity. You cannot put weeks of rendering into
Mm.
real time. Of course, everything will be more sharp and so on. But
Mm-hmm.
if you trick it a little bit, you
You
can
get the best of both.
add elements, and yeah, best of both worlds. This is what I do.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I totally relate to that. My goal is to try and get it all in real time. I'm a more purist, I think, and that's why Unreal was kind of my go-to choice when it comes to like my tool nowadays, because you can get pretty close to the same fidelity in a render. Obviously, it's never going to be as good as what you can get in a render, but this is the same thing as like, the crowd doesn't know the difference, right? Like the crowd doesn't know the difference between my ray trace shadows versus my path trace shadows or whatever the fuck, as long as it looks pretty, as
Yeah,
long as it has
yeah,
the
yeah.
texture and feeling. But the sacrifice for frames is a big thing. Like I do need to travel with a lot of computers, and I do need to travel with a lot of things to be able to get 60 FPS. I do need to spend months optimizing patches to get 60 FPS. So there is like this kind of this game to play. Um, Yeah, for me, it was always like, if
Even
I'm gonna, no, no, please, please,
even with renders, there's
even with
you can
renders,
still it's very hard to get the FPS you want in terms
totally,
of how many layers and stuff like.
totally, totally.
Go on. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say that like uh, um, uh, uh, you know, I don't remember what actually I was gonna say. What were we saying? We're rendering and not rendering. Yeah, no,
Real
I
time
think
versus rendering, but
yeah, I was
yeah,
just gonna go into like the continuation of like the verses, because there's so many benefits and so many non benefits. Oh, whenever I spend a month on something and I make something, if it's in a real time patch, I can use that now forever, right? If it's as a
yeah.
render, I'm stuck. But you actually are like getting out of that box because you're taking the render and then making it in AI, using it in real time. Like I kind of like this
Recycling,
recycle. Yeah,
recycling,
wow.
because I feel anyway guilty for the rendering process, destroying the planet with my computers and stuff like that. And I'm destroying it more again, but not so much. I mean, the initial renders took way longer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm
That's
trying to
that's a
make
hard.
excuses, but this is
No,
just who
that's a
I am, and this is my sauce.
no. I mean, like if you want to get into like the abstract of that, your amount of resources being used to create art is being offset by the inspiration and wow moments that you're giving people with your art. And that's like you can quantify. I bet you can quantify that too, like easily. Okay, think about how many people you're performing in front of. Think about how many hours it took to render the thing versus like okay, even the LEDs, all that stuff. Like you can quantify it, and then the amount of people that are going home and like thinking to themselves, "Oh, I want to do this or I want to do that," or the inspiration that you're enabling people, or even just not even inspiration, just like in the moment, feeling high, feeling closer to God, whatever you want to say. I think that those things are. I think that those things are the karma is clean, my friend.
Okay, hopefully. But yeah, I'm trying to recycle for my own benefit and time, to have more personal time. And I mean, I think that technology is here to help us and to create our better lives for us. So
I think so
people
too.
saying that AI is too it's hindering our skills to make human creativity. I don't think so, because you still need to think about the ideas, but this you can do it in the leisure time, and just it can come to you like a revelation, like something that
Mm-hmm.
is not working, it's thinking. And
Mm-hmm.
in the end, then you apply it, and then the computer does your idea that you needed your whole life experience, and uh, all the diversity that you need to get in to your own diet, because you need to see, I don't know, you need to travel, you need to look at movies, you need to look at art, you need to experience different geometries. So all that packaging, this is what creates you as an artist. And
Mm-hmm.
all that information is relevant, is not just what you do on the computer, is also what you think about all the time.
Totally. That's really potent what you just said. You
Yeah,
mentioned
let me show you maybe my, yeah, but yeah, let's have a question.
no, 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 no. You show me what you want, and we'll go to the question. No, 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 no. You show me the thing.
No, yeah.
No, no,
Okay,
you.
so so yeah, I wanted to show you my favorite, all-time favorite project, which was
Yes.
in the. But first, so go to sharing screen. I still had
Yes.
some things from Tripoteca that I don't want to forget about. I
Okay.
want to, because I copied them specifically for here, for this stream. Wait just a bit. Okay, so I for the first edition, I have this. Old films that I found. It was very hard to find. I'm not allowed to show them, probably.
Okay.
Took a long way to go to the faculty of film, get permission to get to the archive of film, then take it from actual film, raw film,
Mm-hmm.
and digitize it because they were so old. and it cost a bunch of money, like almost as much as the whole cinema fees, because sometimes we go tickets half, sometimes I have to pay the fee of the cinema. It depends. But
Mm-hmm.
look, Romanian animations from the Kalelunga, it's called, this animation
Wow.
from the 70s. So I found
Wow.
psychedelic films from the 70s, even
Sick.
from Sabine Balasha, which is the most famous painter from the 80s and 70s, that he did also animations in glass. I don't have those ones, but I did have a
Oh,
bunch of very archive movies.
like liquid light stuff, or no?
No, it
Glass,
was
like actual
stop
glass.
motion.
Stop
Stop
motion with
motion on
glass.
glass. So
Wow.
he was painting on glass and moving the objects, and I have to put a hard drive, and maybe it will take too much time, but maybe we find it online. Wait, some of them. So Sabin Balasha, it's a famous Romanian painter that nobody knows that he did animations, except for the deacon of the film university in Romania. Uh, Shout out to him. I don't remember his name, but he didn't trust me so much. He didn't trust me so much to curate my own festival. He was like, "Who's the curator?" And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Me. What background you have? I watch a lot of psychedelic movies." And he was like, "You didn't go to college here." You didn't. But in the end, he was like this old guy, and in the end, I actually taught at the faculty of film cinetic. Research center for digital art, where you get
Mm-hmm.
your masterate and doctorate. So in
Mm-hmm.
the end, I even taught
Wow.
his doctorate students. I just wanted to. So this is stop motion on glass. It's
Wow.
just painted on glass, and it gives this stylistic, but it's just
So
stop
crazy.
motion. Yeah, very old thing, line
Wait. I
73.
want to see a little bit. It's crazy. You see it breathing. Wow. Look at that. That's crazy. Wow. But it's like it's on a glass like slide, I guess.
Yeah, instead of using
It's
a
like instead of
canvas, he used
paper,
glass.
yeah,
Just
glass.
he
Hmm,
was like,
interesting.
I think probably is because he was like washing it off, then painting
Right.
another
And
one,
you
then
can get like
washing.
those smears and things like that.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
watched this with the brother of this super huge famous painter, that he was a little bad guy in the way, but he was the only painter that he actually had a decent job. He
Mm-hmm.
painted the Ceausescu family, the big dictator. But I think if he didn't paint him, he was going to prison or something. So
Oh my god.
I don't I don't think he's a bad guy for painting the Ceausescu family in rainbows. They were flying through
Really? In
rainbows, the
rainbows? Oh my god.
dictator.
That's funny.
We can maybe find that, but
That sounds interesting.
okay. So coming back to art, wanted to show you my favorite from COVID times project, because finally in COVID I had time to do what the hell I wanted. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just so busy doing this big festival to get the post, so another bigger festival could see me, and then blah blah blah, and the music video with trappers or commercials, and very stuff that I didn't like, stuff that I liked, but nothing that it comes purely from me, like Tripoteca came or the other movies. So I had time to make a music video with a friend of mine that is a handpan uh, and drums in general, musician,
Mm-hmm.
and he made a song with didgeridoo, Joe
Ooh.
harp, hand drum, and the world championship of beatboxing. And I was like, whoa, this sounds super original. I really like it, but at the same time, it sounds a little bit too natural for me. I'm a digital artist, so I brought my friend Modular from a Good Hand Studio, which is a trailer and teaser company mainly, but they do sound design and video editing for like films that have awards at Cannes and all the big festivals, and a bunch of Hollywood big shit. They do very serious stuff, but he's also one of my best friends and helps me with sound design in a bunch of projects since I started out until now. We still collaborate so much, him on the music
Mm.
and me on visuals. And I brought him. I said, hey, yeah, yeah, I like your song, but I need to make it more futuristic, more fancy, more new. And I brought this guy, and he put modulars and synths and other mix it much more 2022 or 2021, I don't know what the year. And we made a music video. The music video, I should play it. I don't know why I didn't just play
How
it.
do we
I
get the
don't need the sound. I
Okay,
don't need the
okay, okay,
sound.
okay,
It
okay.
just you guys, I need there's so many stories about it that I really want to say those stories. And you
Mm-hmm.
guys can check out Agaton at on YouTube. Agaton and Adistu on YouTube. You can
Wait, what happened to the
so
video?
I just wanted to show you the title.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is Agaton to for people to find it on YouTube. Agaton Adistu. And back to the video. We went. I bought a generator for this that I
Wow.
haven't used for anything else since then. And we went to the mountains. We took like 3 or 4 hours of hiking with a 32 kilogram generator,
Jesus.
free projectors, lights, cameras, stuff like that. It was pretty hardcore, but we had some help from younger people with more muscles than me. And and we found this. I mean, we knew about the hermit caves. It's called
Mm-hmm.
the little church of Yosef and Agatonul No. That's why the name of the music video Agaton. He was a
Mm-hmm.
guy who spent like 20 years in the forest building this hermit cave for himself with the water system and everything. This is the cave,
Mm.
and
Wow.
he was living there, praying to people and stuff like that. So we went there. We actually spent one night there. Rain caught us, and we had only one night to shoot everything. Then we made another shooting in another part closer to brush off. So it wasn't just one day of shooting, but one super main day of shooting. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a very very interesting experience because of the costumes. Especially the idea came to make this character, that the character is all the people playing, but it's the same character
Mm.
playing
Oh.
hand drum, didgeridoo, whatever, band beatboxing. And the guy who was the beatboxer couldn't come to the video. So I video mapped a mouth, his mouth. I said, please give me at least the recording of your mouth. And
Mm-hmm.
I video mapped that on a small this wait yeah this. So this is a small ball, and with a pico projector, I put the hand, and it's like
Super cool.
his microphone, but at the same time, um, he's a talking mouth. And he doesn't have a mouth because he has only this half a face that is the holographic looking glass factory screen. And I put it in a motorcycle helmet that I cut to fit inside of this. And it was so heavy with the holographic thing, because that's a pretty heavy screen. I had to put a neck bracelet, like the ones that you when you break your neck and go to the hospital. So this is what the musician was using to help keep his neck alive.
Mm-hmm.
And we video mapped the caves and instruments. We had some makeup with some UV lights, and I don't know. It was just one of the most fun experiences. People wanted to sleep at the end, but I pushed at the 6 in the morning. Hey, it's golden light now. We have to film. projection in the daytime. We found a dog. We had look, this dog that just pops out in the middle of the forest. I made some 3D compositing with Blender and camera tracking, and I was having all the time a touch designer real time connected to the head with the computer and with free projectors. So it was a pretty big setup for being in the wild.
Super cool. What was that? Was really cool. That head on the floor. Is it Yeah, I mean it's a music video, yeah?
It's a music video, yes.
Hmm. Super
So it's
cool.
still on my pathway to do film. Music video is a in between thing. So this is what I would rather do than visuals, music videos. But it's very hard to to get real money out of this, or it's not yet my world, or I haven't had good enough gifts to afford this lifestyle.
I love the in camera aspect of it. Like some things are layered on top, I see, but most of it is like this very it's the aesthetic of in camera is very cool. All the projections and the mapping in the back and everything. It looks like some crazy VFX thing, but it's not. It's cool. Very nice
It's also
aesthetic.
very organic. Yeah, it's very
Very
organic
organic.
for the rocks. For the rocks, gives a very good texture.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I have also you guys, if you feel like anybody that's watching should look also to the uh, making of to have some fun, but maybe I just show it a little bit right now because there's very funky very dangerous ways of projecting. I put my projectors on a very big rock that had a super huge pitfall that you could fall in and die. So it was everything was very raw and no safeties and just
Going for
wood
it.
creatures we were. Look, putting the look. This is this
Oh
is
my
this
god.
safe?
No,
This is not
definitely
safe.
not.
This is me, and it can go all the way down. And
Oh
yeah,
my
it's,
god.
yeah. Also I have my own projectors, but just for small gigs that sometimes don't have the enough budget, but they're enough cool and independent to
Oh
want to
my
do
god.
something cool. Yeah, so I have like 6K projectors, and I really love Canon technology because I love the LCOS technology.
Mm,
It combines DLP and LCD in the way, and it's the
cool.
best technology for cinema, which is not the best for brightness overall and for video
Contrast.
mapping stuff, but at the same time the contrast and the colors are, it's
Very
like a
nice.
free sip DLP. It's in the
Mm,
same league. It's like the business class of projectors, three
mm-hmm.
sip DLP and free sip LCOS, and the economy class LCD and one sip DLP. So I really there's some detriments in using that because maybe they're not so bright at other 6K projectors, but the quality of the image is the best, and that's why I like to have a little bit of
Wow,
my
look at
own
these caves.
tools.
That's crazy. This guy made those caves? He carved them?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Very
yeah. It
cool.
was a super fun experience.
Very,
And the
very cool.
guy, so the beatboxer, he's number one in beatboxing, won the Swedish Swiss beatbox competition, which is the biggest competition in the world, and now it's he's judging it. But he was young, very young back then, like 21 years old or 20,
Mm-hmm.
and he was working at a call center. We couldn't believe it. He couldn't come to the music video,
Because he was
the
working at
biggest. Yeah, and he couldn't
That's
take
so
any more
stupid.
days off.
That's
That's
so
so
stupid.
sad.
Yeah.
It was like, man, I thought you're rich. I thought
Yeah.
you are a super musician. That I see your videos have millions of views, and you are working at. But he was young. I don't know. I hope he found a new path, and he took this advice. I don't know. I hope he. We didn't follow up so much. But anyway, he was a friend of a friend. I never met him in person. He was a friend of the beatbox guy who's Balasha. Actually, this is the nephew of Sabine Balasha, the painter that I showed you before.
Really?
And he is the
He's the
hand
nephew?
pan hand. Yeah, and he did the music and came to me for to making the
Amazing.
visual. Yeah,
Amazing. Super cool. How many hours of
Gabriel
footage did you
Balasha.
have?
I don't remember, but it took me like half a year to finish this
Shit.
with the
To edit
color
it?
grading and everything. That to
Wow.
edit it, yeah, and with the
That's cool.
blender and everything.
Definitely a taking us out of the usual um, structure of the show, but that's totally fine. I like that. That's that's what creativity is all about. So we're kind of jumping all over the place here with topics. You wanted to, you had one more topic you wanted to share that was important, I think, right?
Yeah, one topic is very important is
Please.
VJs on the flyers. VJs on the
Yes.
flyers, please. Everybody
Yes.
do that. It was, even if you're a newcomer, just
Ask
bug
for it.
the hell
Yeah.
out of your organizer and say that I'm an artist and I matter, and it's a audio visual experience, and the musicians are just some of them. It depends of the scene. Mostly in the techno scene, have such big egos, and there's a lot of um, lack of respect, as I can put it bluntly. But at the same time, I see that things are growing, and people are starting to put more VJs on especially in the psytrance communities, which is very nice. And
Cool.
modem, for instance, where you work, I see that you have an actual VJ lineup
Yeah.
with more
Yeah. With
VJs
timetable.
in
Yeah.
a night, which that doesn't really happen. Usually, you just full night or having maybe one opener that does an installation at another stage or something like this.
Totally. I mean, this is critical, for the scene of VJs, for respecting artists, for getting recognition, which are all super important things. It's not driven by ego; it's driven by respect, like you said. Like, and also on the flip side of that, if you're a promoter, why wouldn't you show the more stuff that you have? You're paying for it. Why wouldn't you want to have it on the flyer, right? Like, you're gonna say that there's vendors, you're gonna say that there's shops, you're gonna say there's an art gallery. Why wouldn't you say that there's VJs? Um, and nowadays, I think especially in places like Israel, especially in places like America, you can't do an event without visuals. If you do an event without visuals,
Sure.
your event's bullshit. Nobody cares about it. So it's like, and then when you think about the fame, or not fame is not the right word, but you think about like what draws a crowd to a event. If you have TAS playing in your event, you're going to draw more people. If you have a local VJ X at the event, the local people will want to see him or her. So it's like, having that pull is so important. Um, and I think that the crowd wants it. I just played a festival in New Zealand, a Twisted Frequency Festival. It was an amazing experience. The crowd wants to know who's playing. We had on the VJ booth, we had a big lineup of like who's playing at what time, and people really appreciated it because they are interested to know, just like who's playing the music, they want to know who's doing the visuals. It makes a very big difference to the event. So I would add to what you're saying, Adistu, not only on the flyer, but also have some sort of understanding of who's playing at what time. Whether that's in the form of a timetable, whether it's in the form of just a sign, whether it's on the flyer itself or on the information you get at the festival. I think it's super important, and I think it is becoming it's becoming more and more of a thing these days, for sure. Yeah, I mean, this can kind of bring us to another interesting topic that you mentioned, music not being the highlight anymore. I think that you're totally right. I mean, a really good example that I've been using recently
Balancing
is,
the field.
what is that?
Balancing a bit the field, the play field.
Yes. you
The
know, you
audio
look at
video playfield.
yeah, because I mean it's always been an audiovisual experience. You know, it just sometimes it's been focused on the VJ, sometimes it's been focused on the music. You look at what's the biggest digital music venue in the world, right? Right now, it's the Sphere in Las Vegas, right? Like that's the biggest Sphere thing. The most recent show that they have was the Anima, you know, which was is one of the
Yeah.
biggest techno or whatever EDM things. And what was the emphasis? The emphasis was on the animation, was on the spectacle, right? The DJs are
Yeah, but
obviously
still, Anima is the most tagged. Not all the animators. They are credited sometimes,
they're
and they
credited.
have some collab posts see. But the main highlight is still the music. So we're still in the changing in this revolution.
Fair enough, but I'm saying people are going to that show to see the visuals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
you're right. You're right. They're not sometimes not always fully accredited, but the problem is it's a very corporate show when you know you have who's VJing or who's operating versus who made the animations. It's a very difficult thing maybe to like
Yeah.
quantify. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that there should be some sort of crediting system for sure. Um, but then again, it's like a movie, right? The movie doesn't have everybody's name at the beginning. It has it all the
No, it's a
credits at
very
the end.
good. I mean, this show in particular really help our scene for
Totally.
organizers to understand more the importance of our
Yeah.
role.
Yeah. Do you think do you have a moment in your memory or your career that you kind of like made the switch of like, oh, I'm here for the spectacle. I'm here for the audio visual. I'm here for the not just for the music, you know? Um,
Well,
you know, for
I
me
was never there for the music. I mean, I like music, but when I go to music, I go to concerts usually. I never paid in my
the
life to
live.
go to a party.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha, gotcha.
or like a performance or something to have a story, a beginning and an end. And I just don't like this content. I'm not a dance person. I'm sorry to break everybody's heart, but I'm not the type of going to the raves and stuff. I mean, I go to raves a lot, but I wouldn't go by myself
For
for
just the
just for that.
dance. Yeah.
I
Gotcha.
like to sit, and I'm more old school, and I like to have all my thoughts and to be as relaxed as possible. When
Hmm.
I dancing is too distracting for me. If you,
Interesting.
I mean, I didn't. I respect dancing. I actually did juggling. I was juggling weights while roller skating and dancing for a while. I got a gig, and then my cat got sick, and I couldn't go to the gig. But I could have performed in a cultural center in Brasov for a few hundred people to do this with a Kinect. But
Wow.
I just it was a crazy time in my life, and I had some personal issues, and I didn't do that. But I respect dancing, and I also at Amural I danced with weight. Dancing with weights is just I don't know. I feel it's an original thing to do. So I respect dancing, but if I really have good visuals, I want to sit down, and
You
it's
want to sit down?
the cinema was the perfect place for me to
Hmm.
experience audio
Hmm.
visuals but of course you don't have the big stages, and that's cool also to have this hybrid of techniques with the stages and work with stage designers and do all this crazy stuff.
Do you think the I mean, I kind of know what you're gonna say, but just an interesting an interesting kind of take of it. But um, uh, when it comes to movies and film, the importance of the score, right? The importance of how that can affect the visual, right? Like, I mean, just as an easy example, like a Hans Zimmer, you know, Chris Nolan kind of thing, of just like, you know, some crazy visual happening. Um, that is not always enough to put you in the space of like epicness or something, and having that music is what kind of like pushes you there, you know. I think that that's kind of like a good starting point to kind of like emphasize how
So yeah,
important those two things are
music
together.
is super important, but they're both together. They're a team. Audio and video are a very good team, and synesthesia is very important.
Do you do you have like any connection to some sort of spiritual aspect, or maybe not spiritual aspect, but maybe like, you know, you were talking about like juggling and just in general, like for me, like dancing is like something to get you in the flow, right? So like, do you have some sort of aspect that you would consider? Is my question too abstract? Maybe let me emphasize it a little bit more. Um, you know, the flow, being in the flow state, can somehow attribute or be connected to some sort of spiritual experience. You know, obviously you like psychedelics, like, you know, the advent of psychedelics, altered spaces, altered reality is inherently in somewhat some connection to the spirituality or even the esoteric. We don't have to say spirituality; it could be esoteric. Um, these states, right? The flow state is kind of an altered state. What is your relationship to these kind of states? The altered states we can go to, or just the flow state of performing, whichever one you want to go.
Well, flow state is very nice, and I like it, and it's fun. The performing aspect, I learned to love it. But I mean, I told you that I like film and renders and stuff, but I like the performing aspect of it too, the feedback, and I mean, I can understand what the fuss is all about and the enjoyment of being live. But at the same time, I'm not a spiritual guy. I'm sorry to
Mm-hmm.
break it down to you, but
It's okay.
I know the flow state is composed of adrenaline and all this wonderful physical and very scientific stuff. So yeah, I'm not. Actually, I don't know. We shouldn't maybe just the topics that are not artistic related, but I
Why they're related?
kind of. But for instance, in Romania, there's like 88% of people are Orthodox.
Religious. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean the very few percent that is official atheist and not baptized.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So I'm a little bit activist in the way of I feel for instance in philosophy school in
Yeah.
university I wrote a essay that is called the immorality of baptism, which I
Okay.
got an A at both ethics and logic and critical argumentation because I was
Nice.
lazy and I did the same subjects into to fields. But you know, I'm a little bit of more for the freedom of thought, especially for minors. That don't have knowledge of philosophy of the history of religion,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm more of a philosophy guy, which is can be a spiritual thing in a
Totally.
way because you
Totally.
think about the realms of thoughts, no
Yep.
realms of
Yep.
thoughts in a
Yep.
way of psychic and yeah, I like philosophy can be a catalyst for I actually have some books that I want to show to the
Please.
audience and to give
Yeah.
some
Please.
suggestions.
Please.
For instance,
That's a
I
great.
just finished this. It's an old aesthetics teacher from Oxford. The book is called Aesthetic Dimension of Modern Philosophy. It's actually, yeah, you can say it through the reaction diffusion. But it's just a simple black book, but it's called the Dimension, the Aesthetic Dimensions of Modern Philosophy
Okay.
by Andrew Bowie. Andrew Bowie did it. He's an Oxford professor at. And he's also a saxophone player as a
Wow.
hobby. I understood.
That's cool.
I also played a little sax in my youth and accordion,
Really?
but I wasn't good at music. Apparently, wasn't rhythm. But a teacher of mine told me that I don't have any rhythm, but that's life. I cannot have a good sight and good hearing. And yeah, so this is one book for philosophy geeks and to learn about a little bit more about concepts in art because AI is coming for us and all the technical skills will be not so relevant anymore, so we have to go for conceptual stuff, so you
Mm-hmm.
can learn about the objectivity of art, the relation about from of art art and language in a philosophy setting, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of good stuff. Or if you're new to this kind of reading, a more light reading thing can be Plato and a platypus walking to a bar. That is philosophy
Mm.
with jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe I don't show. I mean, it's cool to show them in the feedback, but Plato and platypus in a walking in a bar, or the second edition, Heidegger and the hippo walk through those pearly
Heidegger and
gates,
Hipper. That's funny.
which are both philosophy and jokes mixed together, and it's just
Very
some
nice.
basic notions with the most popular views, but in a funny manner for
I love that.
more newcomers. And I have also a huge book that is probably many of you know it. It's the
Codex.
Codex Seraphimus, Codex Seraphimus by Luigi Serafini. It's this. Let's go to screen sharing, maybe.
Sure.
I So it's this thing. I think everybody knows it through this was a meme that is. So these are some of the
Images.
some of the images, and I think this is one of the most famous with a crocodile, a human going in a bed, making love, and then becoming a crocodile. Or these plants. And the thing is, this is an encyclopedia. It's a huge book of this other dimension.
Mm.
So here they explain the photons and how light is being made by these tiny creatures, and the ladybugs forming a torus, and all this crazy stuff that is just being remastered for like 2 years now or something like this. It's a new version with some added material. This one was from the 70s or from the 80s, from this Italian artist, but now he made it. He re-released it with some new additions, and it has everything from microbes to humans to technology to but everything is alien, and there's
Everything
all
is,
this
yeah.
writing, all this writing, all these explanations, all these charts and technical kind of stuff. They're all written in this abstract language that feels like an actual language, and people felt like, what does this all mean? And how can you translate this? But actually, the artist said that he created this language just for the purpose of putting the viewer through the first experience that he had in childhood, watching a new encyclopedia full of new animals and stuff like that. As a kid, everything is new for you, and you don't really understand the language, you just
Mm.
look at the pictures. So
Interesting.
he wanted to recreate this childhood
Feeling.
experience, through this alien language that doesn't actually mean anything.
Is it just gibberish?
Yeah,
Wow.
but
That's
it's
crazy.
very well made gibberish. I highly recommend it. I took it to Waha and to another festival, and people there being in that trippy mood and seeing this book, it's like gold for them. And it's a pretty huge one. I mean, it's you can spend a few good hours with it. Yeah, and maybe for the last, I since you're a fan of Syriac, have you read? Let's see here. The horse destroys the universe.
No. Horse
I
destroys the
I had
universe.
it in the first batch of the ones he made, and it's the first and only book of Syriac Harris.
Oh, he wrote a book. No fucking way. That's crazy.
Yes.
That's
And it's
crazy. Is it good?
Amazing. It's amazing. It's a
It's
sci-fi comedy.
okay.
The same thing that I want to do with my films. I mean, I like the mood so much, and it's very visual. Like it's this horse that gets super intelligent. It gets more intelligent than humans, and
Uh-huh.
then he travels around dimensions and stuff like that. So
Oh
all
wow.
the traveling around dimensions and stuff like that is very, very visually stimulating, and you can see geometries, and it's like being in a software.
Wow, that's so cool. I
uh,
gotta check that out. I mean,
by
yeah,
reading it.
he's a super cool dude. Like really one of the coolest and most unique kind of like artists I think of our generations for sure.
He gave me a bunch of stuff for Tripoteka, and I thank him so much for this. He's a amazing guy. And I forgot about one funny story regarding Tripoteka now that and movie giving from people I highly respect. It's do you know Bill Plimpton?
Bill
It's a
Plimpton
2D
sounds so familiar.
animator that he won a bunch of awards. He's a all
Okay.
timer. This particular animation is from '87, and
Okay.
this was the beginning of. You have to guys see it on YouTube. Bill Plimpton, Your Face, or just Your Face, Bill. It has this crazy song. The music is very important, but I cannot show it right now. uh, and it's uh, one of the first trippy animations that ever happened from a big famous director of animation. So uh,
Wow.
I uh, met I met this is how I started Tripoteka in one edition, and I met the guy at another the biggest animation festival in Romania, Animest, which I was part of with a few of my films, and I was living kind of we living more nomadically in France. So they picked me up in the same car with Bill Plimpton, which was
Wow.
the highlight of the festival,
Crazy.
the guest of honor and stuff like that. So we
Yeah.
went to eat, and
Oh
it's
wow.
I don't know. It's like 70 years old. I don't know exactly his
He's
age,
old.
but he's a
Yeah.
dinosaur. He's a
Yeah. Yeah.
ancient,
Yeah.
epic guy, and he was like he gave had some food from the organizers, but then there was no dessert included, and he didn't have Romanian money. And I said, I pay for your ice cream, but can you give me a movie, please? And he said, sure, which one you want? I want Your Face for my Tripoteca festival. And he said, okay, here is the contact of the people that I work with. Just write to them and tell them that told you you can
Wow.
have my movie.
That's
And I wrote
amazing.
to them, and the funny thing is, I
Yeah.
wrote to
Yeah.
them, and they were like, "Yeah,
Who the fuck
sure.
are you? Oh, okay.
No, no, no. What's the fee that you established between for this with Bill?" And I said, "It's one ice cream."
That's awesome. That's awesome. What did they say? Were they okay with that?
I think, yeah. They sent me the video. Yeah, yeah. I think I explained it a little bit more, but in one
It's a good
sentence.
punchline.
But
It's a
the
good
gist of
punchline.
it is was the ice cream.
I love that. That's fucking great. Um, yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
kind of want to ask you, like, what is a psychedelic movie to you? Like, what does that mean? Like a psychedelic film? Because I feel like, we kind of touched on it a little bit of like story versus abstract. You could have like, experimental versus psychedelic, like a movie that has a full narrative, like Enter the Void, right? That could be considered a psychedelic movie, I think, because it's touching on like, altered states, but it's also like a very narrative movie.
That's a
So like,
very funny story. Because I met Gaspar Noé when he came to Romania, and he wasn't allowed entry to enter the void. by an old lady at the ticketing stand.
Really? To his own movie?
Yes.
That's fucking crazy.
Eventually he did went
Yeah.
in, and after I brought him to an after party to a friend of to the sound designer guy that I told you,
Okay.
Modular.
Yeah.
So and he told us a lot of fun stories with dark ayahuasca and
Mm.
sketchy shamans, and
Mm.
I don't know. Yeah, he's a rough dude. Yeah.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
the people that really inspired me, if you do want to get in the game of what's your favorite movies or stuff like that, and
Not
I'm
necessarily what's your
curious
favorite
about
movie,
your
but what's
answers too.
I'm pretty lame when it comes to favorite movies. But what about okay.
Directors, not
Oh,
movies per
all the
se.
Mexican guys. All the Mexican guys are my favorite.
Which is the Mexican guys?
Like
I don't know Mexican.
Regadas. Oh, dude, Carlos Regadas, one of my favorite. You
Okay, I
have
need to.
Inarritu, right? Like yeah, Birdman and all
What?
those Gravity. He's more Hollywood these days, but um,
I know Gravity, but
yeah,
yeah, I okay. Tell me again.
Carlos
The
Regadas.
director.
Carlos
Yes, I know
Regadas.
that. And
And then there's also the ones. What's his name? Amoros Peros is a movie. Um,
I don't know. Okay.
uh, what's his name? Alejandro Jodorowsky, Pedro
Yes, I
Almodovar. Um,
Jodorowsky is one of my favorites, and I just want to point out I was having an interaction with Keith with Fractal Vision that he liked Dune publicly, and I hated Dune publicly. But I just wanted to say the Dune sucks, just for everybody
it
to
doesn't
know my
suck.
opinion.
It doesn't suck.
If
It's
it
fine. It's
sucks,
fine. It's an
but
epic
I mean,
movie. You mean
but
compared to
did
like
you
the
see?
the the substance, like what
Yeah.
it's made from? Yeah. Okay.
No,
Fine. It
no,
sucks.
no. Compared to Jodorowsky's Galaxy. So, have you seen
I don't.
Jodorowsky's Dune?
I haven't seen. I've
Dune.
seen like pieces of it. I've seen pieces of it because like Lynch was really like the. I seen that one, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen the full. I haven't seen the full Hodorowski one. I've seen pieces of it.
Well,
It's pretty
no,
cool.
it doesn't exist. That's the thing.
Right.
So you have to see Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary, and it's about doing this greatest movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And he had in his team Salvador Dali playing the Emperor for $100,000 per minute, and he had to have a real burning giraffe. He had Mick Jagger. He didn't like Pink Floyd, but they were audiencing. There was Mobius who did all the sketches afterwards for Star Wars, and the
Mm-hmm.
VFX guy, another VFX guy that I forgot for
Mm-hmm.
that he also worked for Star Wars and Matrix eventually. So
Okay.
this movie that never happened. Also,
Right.
he was collabing with Geiger for the scenography. So this movie that didn't happen influenced everything: Matrix, Alien, Star Wars, before it even was made, because it was, you have to just guys, just watch Jodorowsky's Dune. I think maybe it's on Netflix. I'm not sure, but it's a documentary, and it's about the greatest movie that has never been done.
Wow. Yeah, because I remember seeing like different like clips or like snippets. I guess it's from the documentary, but like there's like a bunch of footage that was like like scenography and things like that that showed like what his vision of it was going to be like, right? Um, uh, yeah, Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he did like Children of Men,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
and
I know that one.
Galaxy and all those ones, and then
That's cool.
Alfonso Cuarón as well
Just
is awesome. The one. Oh no, maybe Alfonso Cuarón did Children of Men. Maybe I'm getting those two confused.
That can be spiritual and epic and so on, but maybe not psychedelic. But
no,
it's
Children of Men.
it's
No,
your
yeah, Children of
favorite
Men.
in general. Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
clearing my head.
yeah,
Sorry.
my favorite in general. I think I like
Yeah, yeah.
those Mexican directors. Pulp Fiction, anything that is to do with Tarantino. I'm very big fan of. Not necessarily like it's like very cinema-y, but I just love that movie. I can watch that movie like a million times and never get bored of it. Um, Psychedelic
So
movies,
yeah,
I
but
don't know. It's hard. It's like there's so many things that are kind of psychedelic that are really like. Have you seen that one? What's it called? The very famous one with the mescaline. What is it called?
yeah. It had
Magic
good effects.
Mountain.
Yeah, it
What is
had
it
good
called?
effects, but boring story in
The
my
boring
opinion.
story. Is it called Magic Mountain? Something Mountain. I don't remember the full name.
I don't remember it either. I like the visual part, but it was very short. But this is actually I didn't like Enter the Void either so much, except
You
for
didn't like
the
Enter the Void?
visuals and aesthetic. I like the aesthetics and the
It's so
visuals, and it
cerebral
was
though,
very
no? Like
good.
so like
But too long
too long.
for what it is. I mean, I don't know. It just put everything on the table from the beginning, and then
Mm-hmm.
there was nothing very
Right.
new for me, or they didn't. I felt it was just the same thing.
Mm.
But it's just
Interesting.
my opinion.
No, that's fine.
But
So what's your favorite?
my favorites are the surrealists like Jodorowsky, of course, Lynch, of course, but also maybe even more than Lynch, it's Cronenberg. Do you know
Oh
Cronenberg?
yeah, yeah. Of
He
course, of course.
Existence and a lot
Yeah,
of crazy sci
a lot of
organic
crazy shit.
crazy sci. Yeah, the last one, he's like 70 years old now. It's crazy. I think it's called um, I
His
forgot,
last
but
movie.
it's about performers who are doing art by performing operations on their body and creating new organs and attaching new organs to their
Oh, uh,
uh,
I think I know what you're talking about. It's like
future crimes or crimes
future
of the future.
crimes.
One of
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm not.
very original.
I'm not a huge. I don't know his movies so well, but I know like the Cronenberg style of like that kind of very crazy organic, like weird shapes and all his VFX, his SFX, I should say, his special effects are very crazy,
Yeah,
right? He's like very well known for practical effects. Um,
and the vibe is very similar to Lynch in a way.
mm, I don't like Lynch so much. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan.
I
I know it's like
I'm a
kind of
fan
like
because
you
this
gotta.
is how I started to go
Mm,
inside of experimental movies. So I have
hmm
to respect it. Now, seeing it in retrospective,
It's
maybe
ret-
yeah, there's better
You know what
people.
I mean? There's something about it that I kind of never. Something about it that just bothered me about his movies that were like Mulholland Drive is a great example because it's like the most famous one. But it like always kind of was like this is so fucking boring. I don't know why people like this. And there's that one scene, with the fucking monkey suit that's like that you're like what that could have been like its own short film, like but it's like
Yeah.
plastered around this stupid bullshit. I don't know. I never got into it. Um, I love what's his name? Uh, you know, um, uh, uh, Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket,
Yeah,
fucking
Kubrick, of course. Yeah, but
Kubrick,
we forgot
Kubrick.
about Kubrick.
Like that
Yeah.
stuff is like to me that's like the last bastion of like innovative cinema where it's like nothing before it ever looked like it and nothing after could ever be like it. I feel like Tarantino is a little bit kind of like that for our time of like he kind of shifted the whole genre of like dialogue driven narrative with like very cool aesthetic, and like since then there's not been really anything like that. And like Kubrick is kind of like this like epic visual music, everything's epic, everything's so massive, but at the same time he's like telling like a very philosophical like story, a very like idealistic kind of a view of like war, of science fiction, of violence. There's like all these kind of things that are in his movies that I think are very special. You know, I mean, any. Have you ever seen Barden Linton Barden? Not Barden. Barden Linton. What is it called? His like period piece. Bard. I think it's Barden Linton. Let me just find it now. It's so fucking great. Like we watched it in film school, and it's like you're kind of watching this movie, and it's like this very dramatic drama kind of like epic, right? Like a period piece epic, and then it's like infused with all these like weird Barry Lyndon. It's like it's takes place in like old England, and it's like 18th century England, and it's like kind of comedic, kind of like serious, but it's like so Kubrick-esque. I highly recommend that one if nobody's seen it, because it's like a very Kubrick-esque like movie about like 18th century England. So it's very serious, but I love it. It's like very psychedelic in my mind of just like the way it's portrayed. Yeah.
Can you repeat the title again, please?
Barry Lyndon, Barry Lyndon, Lyndon.
Okay. I thought there was a film also.
Yeah, it's a
Or
film. It's a film.
this is this is not the director. Okay, that's why I
No,
was
it's a
confused. Okay.
film by Kubrick. It's one of his.
Really?
Yeah, it's right before
I
The
thought I
Shining.
saw everything.
It's between
Whoa.
Clockwork Orange and The Shining.
This is the one I missed. I thought I saw everything.
You'll love it. It's
Okay.
it's a weird movie because it's not really Kubrick-y, but it is. It's like, he made
I thought you
Spartacus,
were
right?
talking about another director that was
No,
just
no, no, no,
similar to
no, no,
Kubrick. Whoa, I'm,
no.
I'm
Like
such a dumbass. I need to see everything. I thought I saw everything a long
you've
time
seen
ago.
Spartacus, right? His original Spartacus,
Yeah,
where it's like kind of like he's not really playing the Kubrick-y card of like anything very interesting or different, but at the same time, it's like this epic kind of like thing. So Barry Lyndon is kind of almost like a retaking of this epic movie, but now he's done Strangelove, he's done Odyssey, he's done Clockwork Orange. He's kind of like in this different level of like filmmaker.
he's a chameleon. He's a wonderful chameleon, and he reinvents so well. The
Yeah.
one of the topics was consistency or not consistency. I go for not
Okay.
consistency. uh, Also, David Bowie was a very great proposer of not consistency. I even got a nice. I saved a quote that I wanted to say. Let me find it
Please.
really quick.
Dude, how much preparation you did for this. Not on the set side, but on the actual conversation side. I really appreciate that.
We had a lot of time. I mean, we discussed about it 1 month ago or something
That's
like
true.
this. So
We
I had
spoke
a
about it
lot
a while
of
ago.
time to think about, not to be boring. I mean,
Hell yeah.
yeah, let's have fun. So always go a little further into the water when you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom. You're just about in the right place to do something exciting. Oh, or an even better one, I have two. I reinvented my image so many times that I'm in denial that I was originally an overweight Korean woman.
That's a David Bowie quote.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. That's great. You know
And
who else
just
I love?
wrapping up the. Okay,
No, no, no,
sorry.
no, no. Please, we're not wrapping up anything. Are we
Just
wrapping up anything?
no, just wrapping up the topic of movies. I just didn't want to leave out the animation part of it because
Mm.
that may be for me more important than the live action movies. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to suggest. My all-time favorite animation is Mind Game by Studio 4 Degrees Celsius, which a very very big competitor of Studio
Anime.
Ghibli. I
Okay.
think it. Yeah, it's an anime, and it's in many different styles, and the
Wow.
characters you still can understand which are the characters, but the style changes so much, and there's this meta consistency that you know that
Interesting.
characters, but you just flip around. And I love this, what you call exquisite corpse. We even had a
Mm.
Tripoteca once run was called the animation was a 1 minute and or 2 minutes animation with over
Mm-hmm.
100 animators
Just for 1 minute?
free set.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 seconds each frame, and was a running man going inside of a small house, and it was all these
Wow.
completely different animation styles, from hand drawn to 3D to whatever, and bam 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 bam, exquisite corpse. So
So cool.
that's one type of soup that I like, of geometry soup, or the stylistic soup, but geometry is in
You've
my work.
seen
And this,
you've seen Paprika, right?
yeah, Paprika is also a super great example. I forgot
Yeah.
who directed that, but
Uh
yeah, that's on the
I
top of the list.
think
Yeah, or what
Satoshi
studio it
Kon.
was.
The
Yeah, yeah, he had some
studio, I'm
other
not sure the
great
studio.
guys.
Yeah, that's what Matrix is based on.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Uh,
Technically.
and that, and Dark City,
Dark City
no,
is
the
also an
movie,
anime?
which is, no, it's an actual movie with actual people flying from roof to roof, with actual 70% the same
98.
story as Matrix. It is before Matrix, and I think it was a big inspiration from. It's impossible. It's so many
Alex
similarities.
Proyas. Yeah, well, I mean, the Matrix is inherently going to be bastardizing a
Yeah,
lot of different
everything is
things.
a remix. Everything
Everything's
is
a
a
remix,
remix of
yeah.
everything.
It's just a matter of how you. Yeah, well, what do you think about that? Everything's is a remix. What is the thin line between inspiration and copying?
Well, I try to. I mean, if everything is a remix, is just how well and how far away from the source you can go with the remix. To not, and this is how I feel it's ethically also to do for patches and stuff like that, and tutorials. It's just, I'm actually a police guy. Sometimes I catch people with doing Paqueta tutorials and not changing anything, and not tagging him, and I will commenting like, hey, why are you doing that? Don't you give credit to the master? Hey, I'm very annoying with that. But yeah, if you really want to attribute somebody's work, you need to mix it up a lot, stir it up, and put other elements, and let it become yours. So in a world full of remixes, yeah, further away from the source, go far.
I guess that would be a good way to start the AI conversation, and we are getting
Yeah,
to the end of our discussion here for
yeah.
sure. But it's such a hard topic. I obviously have a pretty I've spoken about it a lot on this podcast and other podcasts. I think that for me it comes down to like the simple aspect of like a tool is a tool, a tool is a tool, a tool is a tool is a tool. And it's like a tool that I can use to make my art better. I don't think we're anywhere close to AGI. I don't think that that's even a thing that's I personally don't think that it's even possible. I think that whatever we create to be a general intelligence will be something that we don't have words for right now, and will be something that's outside of comparison to what we are as humans. Because I think that we're not like the organicness and the you know cellular kind of aspect of humanity is so going to be so different than what the robots, what the AI is, that I don't think that they're even comparable. So I think something like saying something that's like general intelligence is stupid. It's just to get money from investors, and we've just saw that now with the whole with what happened with Nvidia and all the money they lost. But sorry to stay on topic. Like, I think that where we are right now with the advent of AI, the large language models to me are separate from the stable diffusion, StyleGAN, all the kind of machine learning stuff that kind of shifted now into like big models of imagery. I think that the real issue to me is um, how do we retain some sort of okay, there's two issues. One is how do we retain the people's privacy, people's artists wanting to opt out of AI. I prompt something and like I get an image or a video or whatever. How do I know that the algorithm, that the model, that the library is not just fucking like printing and pasting something from somebody else, right? That's one thing. And then the other thing is, how do we establish like um like the difference between something that's homemade, quote unquote homemade, and quote unquote prompted? Because we're going to get to a point where people like me and you are still making things, right? Are still rendering things, are still creating things. But then on the other side, you're going to have artists that are not making is not the right word, but you're going to have artists that are just purely generating things, right? From existing things. And I think that that's kind of, there should be a distinction. Maybe the distinction will at some point like uh, meld into the same thing. But I think for the next decade or whatever, there should be a distinction because I think that those things are different. It's like, I don't know. I was listening to this. I was listening to a interview. I can't remember who it was with right now, but it was about AI and kind of like looking at the difference between like they have all these kind of like 3 minute short films coming out now with AI, right? Like animated short films. There was one of the fox. Did you see the one with the fox that just came? It was huge. It's like a really big one, and it's like you watch it and it looks like a Disney movie, right? But then you look at it closely and it's like it doesn't have any soul. Like I'm watching The Jungle Book now over and over again with my son, and it's like you look at that and it's like what the like how is this even possible that humans made this? It's so beautiful and it's so like the texture of the drawing and the animation and it's like it's so powerful. And then you look at something that's like trying to like emulate it through AI and it's like okay, I don't know. There's a distinction that needs to be had, I think, because I think that the creativity of like you're a good example actually, Adistu, because you're actually taking your things that you create and you're layering it with AI. Even if you're, and I'm not like judging you if you like make something purely in Runway or whatever, but I think that your things that you make that are like your actual creations remixed or overlaid with AI is a good example because you're still retaining the human element of it. When it's purely just generated by a computer, there's something missing. There's something missing. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's not quantifiable. Maybe it will change, but there's something missing. And I think that's important to distinguish those two things.
Yes, you made a lot of right points. So, of course, it's good to have this interaction between AI and human because there's two different species. It's like in an orchestra, you have a trumpet and a saxophone and stuff like that. So, of course, to mix and for me, I really love electroacoustic music. If it's just electronic, if it's just acoustic, but if it's both, it's yeah. So you have to have the both taste to have the right cooking situation, to have the right soup. But this new ingredient AI, which is very similar to the fractals I rendered, is like math or code that is being rendered, and it's pretty organic in a way because it grows out of math and. It's an alien language, it's an alien vision that we haven't seen before and we're exploring it, and that's novelty. And even if it has no soul, it has no direct soul, but it has all the soul of all the programmers that actually did all the thinking incrementally, and everybody that connected to this. But at the same time, if you put the human hand in the creativity and the AI, it's a new step and it's a even more novelty thing because you first see them separate, and yeah, let's combine them as in as many ways as possible.
Okay. I hear that. And what about the what about the like privacy slash giving, you
Privacy.
know,
Yes,
or
and
like
this
privacy,
is
but
a
also and
more
also what's the word? I can't think of the word. Giving people's
uh,
like giving
their rights, their copyright.
copyright
Actually,
stuff, or what's there's a
yeah,
better word. Um,
their
Residuals, or like, you know,
merits.
their merits. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
residuals. Yeah. Well, yeah, this is a tough question because uh, I'm a little bit of an anarchist in some ways and maybe a little too radical, but I feel that the whole natural progression of the universe has, I don't much of believer of free will, and I think everything happens in a way for it's placed to grow, to have a pattern, to, and
Mm,
I think this is a big boom that has to happen to have
mm,
all the collective art that was everywhere be open sourced. So I feel like artists should be more paid for performing or actually working or doing their actual time, or maybe selling some stuff that you really want to keep it, but it's your responsibility to keep it secret. I can
mm-hmm,
hide it away in a hard drive in the back of your garden, 2 feet under. But I feel that everything, the internet gives this freedom of circulation, and I even learned at the university about the ethical benefits of pirating. If
mm,
pirating didn't happen, there was no bandwidth evolution of internet so fast. It would be so much slower,
mm-hmm,
and so many lives would have been lost because of no medical advancements. So in the end, piracy was much, much more ethical than non-piracy, contextually, of course. And here, at the same time, you have to judge what is wrong and what is bad. This stealing of other people's, I mean, their merits and efforts not being quantized and being respected properly.
mm-hmm,
But at the same time, this is for the good of humanity to have this. Open source data that can evolve and to make an alien
species or whatever.
new alien species of aesthetics and intelligence. And I mean, this is a higher purpose in my opinion. And the people who are whining, they're whining in my opinion. I mean, they don't
Mm,
see the benefits for real long term benefits. And at the same time, I mean, I see art in the future. Maybe you will be connected to some sort of device directly, and you will just dream, and you just, I want to be in a dream world like that and like that. And you'll see like, 1,000 years ago people were fighting for copyright and stuff like this, but all these dreams maybe now are shared in a common knowledge to create better dreams and better
don't
dreams.
we have?
I mean,
I mean, don't we have that already though? Isn't that like kind of like collective consciousness? You know, we have dreams. They exist. We don't need to have digital dreams to have dreams. Um, you know, like I think that it depends your philosophy, right? Like, I mean, I think that a lot of creatives or a lot of um, creative thinker, maybe that's not the right word, but I think that there's some sort of collective consciousness or idea of it in all types of philosophies. It depends on how you look at it. In ideologies, for sure, in religions and things like that, it's kind of like the same. Like God is the collective consciousness. It's kind of the same thing. In science, evolution is kind of a collective consciousness, right? It's like always kind of like growing, but it's kind of all this part of the same thing. It's a system that kind of is existing. And in abstract philosophy, an idea that you have has been had by somebody 1,000 miles away. It's just a matter of who said it first and who got the credit for it. But the ideas are always existing. Isn't it sad if like we lose that because we kind of like, so it's almost like if AI can't make anything new, right? Because it's based off of all of human knowledge, it's not going to be able to create anything new. Then aren't we just going to be recycling the kind of same ideas over and over again? And maybe that's what we're doing now, maybe, but I feel like innovation and inspiration are kind of like the end result of new ideas, or like something birthing, like a download. I like to say a download. You know, you get a download from like another reality, another dimension, an alien, God, whatever you want to call it. You're getting a download, which inherently means that it wasn't there before, right? Like you're getting it from somewhere that exists, right? Whether it's the collective consciousness, whether it's something that exists, I don't know what, but you're getting it to you now as a new thing, right? If we're just all gonna be like prompting shit and writing shit and it's gonna be generated for us, or like you said, kind of like in the future, maybe we're all kind of plugged into the same source of creativity, I'm not going to be able to download per se anymore. Does that make sense in that way? Like, does that sad to you, or is that like upsetting to you, or is it exciting? Like, what is the feeling there when you think about that? Because to me, it's a little bit upsetting.
Well, it's exciting because I don't feel this is going to be the only thing. I mean, physical reality will
Microphone,
always
microphone.
play a part. Like, oh, sorry. I feel like it's not going to be the only thing. Physical reality will also play a big part, and there will be different kinds of installations and people joining into the same dream in space or something,
Mm.
or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, floating, or there will be some other human-like experience, and you could. There's a bunch of ways to remix it. It's just a tool. It's just a part of art, but it's not the whole spectrum. I mean, it's not land art. You cannot do land art. You can make a photo of land art, but you cannot see it in, there's still a bunch of things that can this is not everything, it's just a small part of art, but it's an important new part of art, like photography was and stuff like that.
But don't you think like, and I'm gonna be a little bit pushback here, but don't you think that like when you create something or when you make something, isn't part of that experience like the journey of it, right? Like failing, learning, experimenting. Now, if I can just prompt an animation, I'm not getting any of that. So like I believe that everybody's an artist. I believe that, I'm an artist, you're an artist, my baby's an artist, my babysitter's an artist, everybody's an artist because the act of
Your
thinking,
computer.
my computer is a tool. But my computer has a name. My computer has a name. I give all my devices a name. Like I want it to have some sort of element. But my, but the point that I'm trying to say is that like giving everybody the ability to make art is beautiful. Okay, I like the idea that anybody can be an artist with AI, but it's not the same as somebody who spends the time to experiment, to fail, to think, to go on like a workshop or whatever. Like there's some merit in that like makes the art worth it versus like just writing down something and coming out with something. Like they're two
Yeah,
different
it's a
things.
skill, the skill of doing it and the actual doing it of the action, which I think is a very valuable quality in artistic evaluation, but is not one of the top. Conceptual and originality is still regarded in the most competitions as the most. Then maybe we can go for skill, and maybe afterwards we can go for effort and time, which are a little not so relevant and subjective, but can also be. So in the end, you have to, it's more nuance. It's not like black and white, and
It's
there's a
not.
bunch of
Yeah, it's
stuff
not.
that I don't like as well, but mostly I'm positive. For instance, I stopped doing collages now that there's a lot of but I come back to it, but there's a lot
Whoa.
of very good collages of images, like static images. Before I was doing, can you screen share for a bit?
Yeah.
I was doing this collages with fractals first, and then I started to do them with AI, and I have a
Oh,
bunch of them
yeah, I've
that
seen them
are
on your
made
Instagram.
by many. So this is are a bunch of AI images turned into one, which
Are you
it
turning it into
looks
one, or you're? How are you turning
yeah, like
your
Photoshop and
Photoshop?
DALI and stuff. Yeah,
Cool.
or this one. Um,
So why are
let's
you stopping to do
see.
this? Just out of interest.
So it's so much material. I mean, I have to focus on video first, but it's so much overwhelming material online of images that it's hard to find what is really good, and it's the saturation of the market. And this yeah, for instance, here every head is one image, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
collage of like 20 images.
Mm-hmm.
I have this printed also on. Maybe can you show me my real camera for once a little bit?
Oh no, are you sure?
No. Yeah, yeah. You will not see my face so much.
Okay,
I
okay,
have
okay.
another mask.
I just want to make sure I don't see your face. Okay, you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
There he
Okay.
is, MF Doom
Yeah.
himself.
This is not the best mask, but yeah, I have around here this.
Oh, nice. Is a blanket, towel, or a blanket?
It's like a shade to make shades for tents or
Oh,
deco
cool.
for psytrance stuff.
Nice. Very nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, so my friend Chesco did it from Guatemala, the printing, and I travel with this.
Nice.
But it's very hard to get recognition. I mean, uh, art gallery. I really spend a lot of time to make the concepts and the aesthetics and the color grading and everything. And this is art. I mean, you understand this, but
Totally.
uh, some people is like, fuck, no, AI, come on. What's that? It's just AI, and
Yeah.
you get that from I mean, I don't know what's the situation at Boom, for instance. Are there AI prints there, or everybody's on the paintings?
I would think it's mostly because in Boom specifically, I think most of the gallery is physical painting. Like in Modem, they have TAS has prints and there's a lot of prints and stuff like that.
Ah, okay, that's
I don't
cool.
know if there's any AI prints at Modem, but at Boom, I think most of the gallery is it's specifically painted. Maybe
Actually,
there's
Andre
digital.
Jones
I
had
don't
a
know.
few.
I guess
Maybe
well, but
there.
Android
Maybe there.
Jones, but Android Jones does paint. He's a classical painter.
Yeah,
You
but
know what I
I
mean?
think he had the digital ones as well. That's what
Yeah,
they had
but
the big.
the
What you
famous
call it?
one, the big one.
No, the ones that are 3D, like the screen
Oh,
that I the
yeah, like a
big
hollow
lenticular
lenticular.
prints. Yeah, yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, but it's still a little weird. People view it. I saw the audience, at least not the artists or organizers, but the audience. For instance, at Free Earth, I put a lot of this covering the whole gallery, and the feelings were mixed. Some really liked them, some wanted to buy, some were like, "Fuck AI art." Was that devil shit?
Well, I think it's like you said, it's like when photography came around, people were like, "Fuck photography,"
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's
were
just kind
afraid.
of
Yeah,
normal. But
just like
uh,
draw it, man. Why don't you draw the face? You have a hands. Why the
yeah,
hands are organic? It's
I
human.
think that because the world we live in today is so polarizing, right? Everything's polarized. Everything's argument. Everything's political. But I also think that the difference between like let's say digital like Coral Draw coming out or like Photoshop or whatever versus like people cutting, pasting stuff like that, and the difference between that and like AI and digital media is that AI is based on like existing things. So if you just look at it like that as face value of like, oh, this is stealing, then that's an easy thing to run with, right? Without thinking of like, well, technically, code
It's
is
learning.
it's learning. I mean, it's a really tough one. I think that we don't really
It's fair
understand it enough.
use. It's fair
It's
use. It's a
not
tough one.
always, not always, because some of like OpenAI, they they scraped the internet on places that weren't allowed. Places that nobody wanted them to scrape. So it's a weird one. I
Yeah,
think that
but if you have a bunch of money, I mean, if you have like a big pile of gold, you don't walk around on the street with it. You keep it safe. I mean, I will never put my visuals online on high quality or something like this.
yeah, but it's not about high quality. I mean, if I'm an artist, if I'm a Van Gogh and my paintings are in a museum and they're worth millions of dollars, but somebody digitized it and put it online, or Syriac's a good example. His stuff is fucking online everywhere. He doesn't post it online, but it just is because of him being
I
so.
don't think he's the type of guy who cares. But okay.
No, he probably doesn't. You're right. He probably doesn't. But I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like what Android Jones is interesting because he made his own AI. He trained his own AI
Oh.
to run on his stuff, and that's like, you have a project. I don't remember what it's
Yeah.
called.
You can make LoRa's, no? Just making a LoRa
No, he has his own
or an entire model.
entire model. Yeah, it's called it has a name with a C. It's called
I also use
blah.
my old fractals as
Chimera.
IP adapters in config.
Chimera AI.
Cool.
Sorry. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's it's like I honestly don't really give a shit about any of this stuff. I use LLMs for coding. I'm like a coder. I can make plugins. I can make I'm like a high level, not a high level. I'm like a medium level coder at this point, and I use it for like fast, easy, like concept art that I want to just get out of my head fast. But I won't use it. Like I have in every show that I do, like every mapping, I'll have stream diffusion, but I'll play with it like after the show. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
I understand.
for
Freestyle.
fun.
Coloring outside of the box.
Yeah, like for fun to see what's available. I would love to like use things like live. I think that we're close to it. I think maybe like next year there'll be like some bigger innovations in like in stream diffusion that will be more consistent because I need the consistency. Otherwise for me it looks like flickering. It looks like AI, that aesthetic. But like I've used I used texture. Like I took like a UV map of like my model and I generated some textures based on the UV model with like control nets and stuff like that. That was cool. That was cool to get some like interesting textures. But I'm a purist. I want the things to be real time. So until it can be like properly, then I'm less interested by it.
Yeah, very low quality, not recommend. Even though I pull it off a little bit in these last few things with the stream diffusion with some cool backgrounds in the back, you can and just some alpha things on top. I tried to blend it. It was a tough challenge to blend a 512 by 512 resolution with super
Are you
high
upscaling
quality
it?
shit. With the NVIDIA, I think.
Yeah, with NVIDIA. But that's like hit or miss. That one. Sometimes it works really
What
well.
do you mean?
Sometimes
No,
it
it's
looks like
sharper. It's sharper.
I know, but sometimes it makes it so sharp that it looks like shit.
For
No?
me, it was good. It was way better than without, at least for this show. And it was very fun. This is my last show at Electric Animals for Halloween, and it was very good for Halloween because I can do the
Fun.
DJ monsters and whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not get upset. But it was a challenge to have such a low resolution and have use fractals and other stuff in correlation to this. But I have to take care of color grading a lot. I mean, most of my set is color grading. I'm sorry to spoil the secret, but
Color grading, you
I
mean
don't do.
like color science of like matching colors and things like that, or actual
Yeah,
like
matching
brightness,
colors.
contrast?
I know it's brightness, contrast, hue, layering, drop shadow, auto mask, all this stuff that sounds very simple. Just to think about which elements go with which elements from a different species of geometry is not. You have to think about it a little bit, and that's the thinking process that goes to my set, and for me it would be too much in the head to have an actual complex patch that I'm working in real time in Touch Designer. That would take too much headspace from me. I could do that, but then my mixing will not be on par.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so last topic before we get out here. And maybe this isn't going to be a last topic for you. Maybe you want to talk more, but psychedelics. We kind of touched
We'll
on it
wrap
a
it
little
up.
bit. We kind of what is it, like 5 a.m. for you over there?
Yeah, but it's still not sunrise. I need to go with Pixel the dog outside. Yeah, for me it's good. It's still not sun.
Um,
So
Psychedelics, like, take it where you want to take it. Just in general, psychedelics, the substances, the experiences, the visions, etc., 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 the mind stuff.
well, yeah, the most important thing I think is the psychedelic movement, in the sense that people, when I was traveling with Tripoteca and giving interviews and stuff like that, were uh, people were afraid of this word psychedelic from the connotation, but I was trying to embrace it for a more general public to understand that it's about a journey into the psyche of the internal journey of somebody and their thoughts and their correlation to the philosophical world and the all the concept that we have in our mind, how you see geometry and shapes, and you correlate your thoughts and mapping, creating a map of your thoughts with the catalyst of seeing something abstract,
Mm,
and all this make up the psychedelic aesthetic, which is a very hard term to point without making direct correlations with yeah, some people want to correlate it with substances, some people want to correlate it with psytrance. I saw in many ways were like, this is a psychedelic thing, and I get a lot of people that want to dance and they don't know that they arrived to a cinema or but in the end, for me, psychedelic is something more overarching and something culturally and
mm,
specific aesthetic that is not a genre. It can be any genre. It's like a meta genre. I don't know
mm,
how to call it. And that's why I encourage everybody who's not adventurous with their health or are any kind of people to just explore their inner world and to see trippiness as originality, because what is trippy is like, hey, what the hell is that, what's that? It's something new, and if, seeing new things fire up neurons, make new connections, improve you, and in general it's a good thing to see novel things. It enriches us. So for me, psychedelic is also tied to originality in the way, because it's an ever-changing genre
mm,
that can have so many facades and so many ways of. It can be black and white. It can be colorful. It
mm.
can be geometric. It can be organic. It can be anything. But it's psychedelic when you see it.
Yeah, beautiful. That's a really nice explanation of that, and I appreciate you kind of like explaining and talking about it without specifying like what it is, if it's substance or if it's abstract, whatever. I think that's really important, because it really is like a mindset, right? It's like a movement. It's like a mindset. It's like a um, like an experience almost. That experience can be done by, like, it can be attained or achieved or experienced in so many different ways, right? Like, you can sit down and watch something. You can take some sort of medicine or some sort of drug, whatever you want to call it. You can meditate. You can dream, right? You can not even any of those. You can just like sit and read a book, and the book is gonna trigger your, you know, different way of thinking or something like that. So I think that I subscribe to that as well. I think that that's a really potent way of saying it. It's kind of like, it's a word that has been bastardized, like the word spiritual or God or whatever. It's a word that's been, uh, you know, we tell our grandparents psychedelic, and they're like, oh, you're doing drugs, right? Like, that's because they grew up in the 60s and 70s when the war on drugs was so powerful, and they were using that as a kind of a thing. But maybe if you tell somebody from like 200 years ago what you mean by psychedelic, they might be like, oh yeah, that's that's what we do every day when we go to church or whatever the fuck, like it's like a way of looking at it in some sort of aspect. So yeah, I think that's a really potent way of looking at it. So this has been really awesome, Adistu. I really appreciate your time. I think we
Thanks so
touched on
much for having
everything
me.
that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wanted to talk about.
It's a good ending, I feel.
I really
And
really appreciate it. And yeah, please, anything you want to share with us at the end? Anything you want to
well,
say?
I'm just
Plug?
waiting for you to reach 2 million subscribers, and then okay, we will make the VJing revolution with the flyers, you guys. And also put if you project map, put dimming lights if you are in a public space in your contract. You should dim your lights. Not my responsibility if your show sucks if you don't. But yeah, make a revolution. You get 2 million subscribers. Everybody's into visuals, and in the comments, people will say, "Ah, bring that crazy weird guy." We enjoy it, and
We'll bring you back
maybe
for
you'll
sure.
get me famous next time in a few years.
I won't. I'll bring you back before I have 2 million subscribers. I can promise you that.
But for now, I hope I was geeky enough for your regular listeners, which are a very tight knit community, and I feel a part of, and I feel very blessed that you called me here. Yeah, and shout out to Chesco Lab from Guatemala, who's also organizing the Festival of Light there. He made the first edition. He showed me first the podcast of Julius and you. So it was
Really,
because of him
Chesco,
that I gave you.
connect me. I'd love to talk to him.
Okay. He's a little younger, but he's doing great things and
Yeah, introduce me.
organizing
It's always good to make
the
it bigger.
festival of light. And about Julius, what I wanted to share a philosophy that I share with him is that I really enjoy to on the other spectrum of you to create. To see what nature has to offer, to not be an artist sometimes, and just to be an explorer. I don't
Mm.
know his exact words, but it was
Yeah,
something
he
like
said.
exploring worlds and not actually creating so much, but
Hmm.
seeing, what pops out of math, because math
Yeah.
is also nature. So there's these patterns like flowers, like we grow our food, we can grow our visual food. And yeah, there's not a lot of hand coordination stuff. You have a lot of head conception and stuff, but you still, it's wonderful to see other species, if
Mm.
it's dogs or plants or fractals or AI generation or whatever. I like to see other species. I like to see diversity. Diversity is good. That's it. Thanks for so much, Alan, for having me.
Wow, what an episode! Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Manus Smash for the intro and outro music. Thank you to Sophie Holder for the amazing internship helping us with all the episodes. And thank you to the guests for coming on and spending time with us. See you next week.